tomorrow. Mentioned yesterday his wife ran a marathon, a half marathon in Las Vegas on Sunday night. So they had a little R&R yesterday and recovery and all that stuff. So he's scheduled to be back with us tomorrow. But today, man, we are jam-packed. And I got to tell you, Pledge and I walk into the studio. Of course, Pledge is here. I think he lives here under his desk in there. But I walk in here, I don't know, about 12:30 or so, and stuff just starts coming. Bam, 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 bam. All kinds of stuff breaking and happening. And so we got it all together for you. And we got a lot to talk about. That is for sure. Spurs wrap up their rodeo road trip tonight in Minnesota against a mad Minnesota Timberwolves team. That could get ugly in Minnesota today. I don't know. We'll be talking a lot about that. We'll be talking Wembanyama, Victor. Can he win Defensive Player of the Year? Pledge seems to think so. I'm not so sure. We'll go over the numbers, and we'll let you decide. If you want to chime in on that, you can chime in as well. So lots to get into. But before we get into, something really weird happened to me today. And I got to tell you, it was, just quite weird. You know, I like going to the gym in the morning, 8:30, something like that, working out. My brother and I work out together, and there's a great dude in there named Ray. Now, Ray is one of these guys that I would not want to mess with. He's a strong guy, not overly muscular, I wouldn't say, but he teaches boxing. He's got some students in there that he does tennis with, and just kind of an all-around guy. And he's a really nice guy. But the one thing about Ray is he likes to argue. He likes to debate. And he's never wrong, at least according to him, which means that he and I debate a lot because I'm never wrong either. So it kind of works out that way. But this morning I go in there and he's in a deep discussion with my brother. Now, my brother is a financial advisor. That's what he does. And he's got his own business and he's very good at it. He's been doing it a long time. Well, apparently he and Ray were talking about crypto coin. And I don't know a hell of a lot about that. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure exactly what that's all about. But Ray was on the side that crypto coin or currency or whatever you call it is, a good thing and it's valuable and all of this stuff. And my brother was trying to tell him, well, it's really not. And I don't know. They were going back and forth. And I was just kind of in the front row. Didn't have the popcorn, but I could have had the popcorn. So I'm sitting there, listening to these guys and watching them, and they're going back and forth. And I don't know that anybody won that argument. But my question is, because what I gleaned out of that, and I didn't know this, that there was only a certain amount of cryptocurrency or coin or whatever. Look, I don't know. It was confusing as hell. But there was only a little bit of it made. So it's really not worth, you can't go buy a car with it, right? Or you can't go to H-E-B and buy groceries with it. Or go down to the Rue Pub and get a cold beer. You can't do that with it. But it is valuable. So we figured if I wanted to sell some to Pledge and said, give me X amount, and he did, then I guess it's worth that. I don't know. If anybody knows anything about cryptocurrency or coin that they want to share, let me know. The one thing that I do know, and I only say this because it's legal, at least I'm assuming it's legal, the app that I use to have a little fun on the games and little stuff, it's an overseas one. They always tell me that if I use crypto coin or currency, that the bonuses are bigger. And my brother tells me that that's because it's untraceable, right? It's untraceable. So if I just outed myself here and the cops walk in, you know why? But it's called Bet US. I'll give them a plug, but that's what I use. Now I don't use cryptocurrency. I just, deposit cash, and it works out just fine. And sometimes I win, other times I don't. But if it comes time to deposit, they still always tell me, look, you get 50% bonus money if you just use cryptocurrency. And so I don't have any. Does anybody collect that stuff? Does anybody invest in that stuff? I guess is the correct word for it. Because I know I heard about it early on, and I know some people made a hell of a lot of money doing it, like right out of the gate. I used to go with this like day traders and these little stocks that you go into these the Robinhood app and all that stuff, and so I kind of heard about it, but I never really wanted to invest that kind of money. And some people were investing a lot of money, and they made a lot of money right off the bat, and then it just kind of collapsed a little bit. So I don't know where that stands, but I just thought there was a fascinating interview argument this morning at the gym, and I'm just sitting there for the first time in my life. I'm talking to Ray, and look, my brother's an opinionated dude too. He's wrong about 90% of the time, but he's got his opinions and he thinks he's right. But he's not right very often. So I'm just sitting there watching these two guys go at it, and I kind of side with my brother a little bit on this because that's his job. But Ray will never say I'm wrong, ever. So it keeps going. It's just a lot of fun. Other people are coming over, and it's just it was kind of an interesting way to start the day this morning. So I wanted to share that with all of you for whatever that's worth. I'm just happy that all of you are here and listening, however you are doing that, whether you're driving around the beautiful city of San Antonio, South Texas, Central Texas, wherever you're listening to. Thank you very much. If you're on YouTube, thanks for watching that way and listening that way. You can also comment there on our YouTube page. Or if you're on Twitter and you want to comment there, you can do that at Joe Reinagle 210. That's how you get a hold of us there. The phone lines, you're always welcome to participate that way. 656-3776, 656-ESPN. We have got so much to dive into that I want to get an early start on it if we can. Again, Todd Archer with ESPN is going to join us here in about 7 minutes or so. We're going to talk to him. He was there with Stephen Jones at the Combine in Indianapolis, and Stephen made some comments. Now, look, Stephen is never as open as Jerry is. Stephen's a little more guarded, and he won't let the cat out of the bag necessarily the way that Jerry Jones does. Although I think Jerry's a lot smarter than we give him credit for, because he'll say things and it sounds confusing, but it always has some hidden meaning, and you just kind of got to figure it out. With Stephen, he's a little more direct, but he talked a lot about Dak Prescott. He talked a lot about the culture with the Dallas Cowboys, some strange things, and even talked about Leighton Vander Esch and his recovery and what may or may not happen there. So a lot of good stuff to dive into. We'll hear from Stephen after we hear from Todd Archer, so you can kind of put it all together after we talk to Todd Archer coming up here in just a moment. And I don't know, did you guys see that play last night with the Detroit Pistons and the New York Knicks? Monty Williams, former Spur, was livid because there should have been a foul called. There wasn't a foul called. The officials came back out and said there should have been a foul called there. Now, Detroit, they're kind of like us here in San Antonio. The season really doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot. But, if you've got an opportunity to beat a good team, you kind of want to do that and reward your players. My question is, we've had so much with the officiating, not only in the NBA, but also in the NFL. How does that affect your confidence if you have an app that you use or somebody that you use to place a few bucks on a game? Are you concerned that the fix is in, or that the officiating is just so bad at times that it affects the outcome of the game? And do you get upset when you lose because of a bad call? So we're going to talk about that coming up in just a moment. And the other thing is, Jim Rome today was going off on Monty Williams, and it really pissed me off, I'll be honest with you. And, usually I'm listening to Jim Rome as I drive in, and, he's entertaining, right? He's entertaining, and I listen, but very rarely do I either agree or disagree with the guy. Today, I disagreed with the guy completely, and I think his take was way off base. So I'll get into that, and I'll tell you why. You see what I'm saying? We got so much to get into. It's unbelievable. We're going to get into it. Hey, by the way, if you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, hit that that thumbs up button and subscribe. We got a letter yesterday, Pledge and I, a little email that says we're way behind on the subscriptions for this month. And I don't know what that means, but if we're behind, if you guys can subscribe, it would mean a lot to Pledge and I. Okay? Don't make us cry. Todd Archer from ESPN is going to join us when we come back. He was with Stephen Jones today at the Combine in Indianapolis. We'll talk to Todd Archer as the Blitz continues right here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 San Antonio Sports Star Spring Golf Classic is set. Monday, March 25th at Golf Club of Texas. With plenty of prizes, including a shot at $50,000 in a trip to the big game. Go to sasportstar.com and get signed up. A 4-person scramble, $120 per player to join, or a group of 4 can sign up together for $400. It's the San Antonio Spring Golf Classic, benefiting the Will Smith Foundation. Monday, March 25th, presented by Flight by Yingling and 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
If you're a business owner, a manager, a club leader, and you need your logo on any kind of gear, make sure to get into Sammy's Embroidery and Printing down on San Pedro. The cold weather is here. If you need your logo on a jacket, on a coat, half zip, hoodie, a beanie cap, Sam will get you taken care of. Speaking of caps, and if you need hats, Sam has over 25,000 hats in more than 75 color combinations on display in his showroom, including the popular Richardson 112 style trucker caps. Sam has over 700 uniform lines to choose from, all kinds of industries, restaurant, construction, medical, schools, leagues, and so much more. Sammy's Embroidery and Printing. Nobody has better prices. Sam has all the big name brands like North Face, Eddie Bauer, Nike, Travis Mathew, Port Authority, to name a few. And he's the only company in Texas that offers one-day turnaround. Call 210-824-3900 or get into that massive showroom on San Pedro, a mile inside Loop 410, next to Big Lots across from McDonald's.
Joel, it's fantastic to be a local business here in San Antonio.
Sure is, Nigel.
We always say, from the outhouse to the penthouse, we can plumb it and we can cool it.
And all that at a fair price with one easy phone call to 210-651-5899.
See, Joel, I told you I could do it without clowning around.
So what's with the red nose?
You can let go now. That's not funny.
Quarter Moon Plumbing and AC, 210-651-5899.
License number N16004, TSAOG 000743445E.
Hey, poker players, the Big Blind is open. With a true Vegas feel, the Big Blind is the premier poker room in San Antonio, featuring an upscale environment catering to players from all abilities. Whether you are seeking high-octane tournaments or lively cash games, the Big Blind has a game for everyone. The Big Blind at 281 in Redland Road, just down from the Rue Pub, offers daily cash games to daily, weekly, and monthly tournaments. Learn more online at thebigblindsa.com. The Big Blind at 281 in Redland Road.
What's wrong with Rick? He's kind of spacey today.
That's Rick's identical twin, Scott. He's not used to answering to Rick.
What's going on?
Rick asked me to keep it secret, but he asked his twin to cover his shift so he could go to Diamonds Direct to shop.
But this is a jewelry store.
Yeah, I know, but the prices and selection are so much better at Diamonds Direct. Rick doesn't want the boss to get suspicious, so Scott's here in case the boss sees Rick at Diamonds Direct.
But that would mean that the boss is at Diamonds Direct too?
Yeah, we have a lot of secrets.
You never know who you'll run into at Diamonds Direct. With unbeatable direct importer prices, the highest quality diamonds, the most sought-after designer rings, the best customer service, the strongest guarantees in the industry. It's just a no-brainer.
You think if Scott had a mustache, would he look like me?
No.
Go where everyone else goes. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Well, what if I shaved?
Still no.
For store hours, directions, and more, go to diamondsdirect.com.
Guys, do you know your testosterone affects how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health San Antonio will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 210-615-7777. That's 210-615-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Hello, this is Chip with Diamond J Properties. You're invited to our coastal waterfront grand opening this Saturday, where you can get 2 acres with bay access for only $49.9. That's right, 2 acres bay access for only $49.9. This coastal waterfront community has over 4 miles of water frontage with access to the ICW, Gulf, Matagorda Bay, and much more. Property features paved roads, underground utilities, boat launch, pier, pool, cabana, and more. This property is shown by appointment only. Call now, 210-853-0389. 210-853-0389. 210-853-0389. 210-853-0389.
Tonight at 5:45, it's college basketball, Wisconsin and Indiana, on your home for March Madness. 94.1, San Antonio Sports Star.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Glad you could ride along with us today on this Tuesday afternoon. I'm Joe Reinagel. This is the Blitz here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. What a day. What a day. It always is, and the NFL is always kind of taking center stage, and especially the Dallas Cowboys, as the NFL Combine is taking place in Indianapolis this week. And, of course, we always await the Joneses, Stephen and Jerry, and when they're going to say something and talk about their team and what they plan to do in the offseason. Well, today, Stephen Jones met with the media, and ESPN's Todd Archer had a front row seat, I suppose, there with Stephen Jones. He joins us now on the Buyers Barricade guest line. And Todd, appreciate you taking the time to come on with us today. Just your initial thoughts on what Stephen had to say. He talked about a variety of things, and I'm not sure we got a clear answer on anything.
Correct. That's what I was just going to say. It's clear as mud. He didn't want to go, and understandably so, he didn't want to get into any of the negotiations are going to come up with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, all these guys. Doesn't feel like it does anybody any good to mention where they are or hopeful or anything like that. So he kind of steered clear of it. But one thing that I asked, the two things that I asked him that I was curious about is, can the Cowboys do what they want to do in free agency without extending Dak's contract? And he said yes, or still ways they can get money from Dak's deal by restructuring it with the 2 voidable years that remain beyond 2024. So that can get them some money. And then because Dak has the no trade clause and the no trade clause, and what's the other one? They can't use the franchise tag on him, as he started to think about the possibility that this could be Dak's final year in Dallas. And he didn't want to go there at all and think about that. He's like, our only focus right is to make sure Dak is a Cowboy. So, we know we know they want to keep Dak and have him be their quarterback. It's hard to find them, as we know, quarterbacks across the NFL. But when you're talking to the prices that it's going to take, there's a lot of things that they have to go through to get there. It's not just a simple, okay, you want X? Okay, here's X. Let's give it to you. They have to think about everything else that plays into that decision that affects the entire roster.
Well, Todd, here's the question. With the contract that Dak got, and it took so long to get there, a couple of franchise tags, and then it was more expensive than perhaps it could have been had they done it a little bit earlier. You got to figure that's got to be in the back of their mind, number one. And number two, I mean, this contract Dak has, he's got all the leverage, it seems. And you got to figure the Joneses don't want to do that again.
Right. Well, there's nothing that they can do about that, right? They can't take back the tag part of it or the no trade clause out of it. So they have to deal with this. This is the bed that they've made. The one thing I would push back on is when people say the Cowboys waited too long to sign Dak. They didn't wait too long. They tried to sign him. They made legitimate offers. They made the same offers that Wentz and Goff got in Philadelphia and with the Rams, 32, 33 million, 90 some odd million guaranteed, right around there. And it never got done. And this is where people don't give Dak credit for waiting. And it's always blaming the Cowboys for not doing what they should have done. Dak waited and won. He played. He took the risk of an injury even in 2020, and he still got paid the $40 million a year, $65 million signing bonus, $160 million. So that's the one thing I'd push back on about what happened with the last negotiations. But I think with this one, look, they have to start asking themselves the question: if a guy is in year 8 or 9 and he's never taking you to an NFC title game or a Super Bowl, is he going to do it in years 9, 10, 11, and 12? You have to ask that question. And I don't know how they would answer that, to be honest with you, because he's not done it. Doesn't mean he can't do it, but there's a lot of evidence of Dak in the playoffs struggling, and I don't know how you get over the top other than just finally getting over the top. And if you're going to make 50, 55, 60 million a year, whatever it is, it's harder to construct a roster around a quarterback when you have guys like CeeDee Lamb you got to pay, Micah Parsons you got to pay. So there are decisions, there's a trade-off that happens that they have to balance all those things out, and it's not as easy as people think, in my mind.
Well, and you have to be a genius, I think, to figure out the salary cap and how to get around all that stuff. And I will give Dak credit. As we visit with Todd Archer, who covers the Dallas Cowboys for ESPN, because, I mean, he's a smart guy. But when I look at what he wants to do here, if they end up extending him and giving him a new contract or whatever the case may be, I have to figure that Dak, in the back of his mind, is thinking, this is my last best chance to get a big haul of money. And I think he holds out again, or at least demands a bigger contract. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, he's already made generational wealth, right? I think we can put that away with the $160 million that he's going to be making here. And now it turns into, well, I don't know what's beyond generational wealth. But he's made a lot of money in ads and endorsements and things like that too. And I'm not, he should go for whatever he thinks he's worth. That's the way it is in the NFL, right? And if he wants 50, 55, 60 million dollars, hey man, that's all well and good. And if the Cowboys want to pay for you, that's the way the system and the market works, and that's how you should go about it. But he also has to understand the other side of it is that you might not have everything you need around you if you're that way, and that's a little bit of a trade-off. And I wonder if Dak might say, do I need to be the highest paid quarterback in the league? If Dak would say this, right? Now his agent might want to say something different because the agent's thinking of the next contract for the next quarterback that guy has. So, that's where you're in a situation where this thing could take a while. I mean, it took 2 years to get the first deal done. I can't imagine that this deal will get done by March 13th to start the new league year. It could, I guess, theoretically, but I have a hard time thinking that it can happen. I don't even know what today's date is. The 27th?
27th, yeah.
So what do we got? So 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
I can't imagine that this thing's going to get done in 2 weeks.
We know, Todd, you bring up something interesting because I have this conversation with Jason Minix, my partner, who's not here today, but and some listeners as well, and some other folks, that it's just, well, Dak's next. He's next, so he automatically is going to make more than Joe Burrow makes, and it's just a foregone conclusion. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's, like I said, that's the way it works, right? I mean, it's Herbert in the Chargers. I don't think he's won a playoff game. He might have gone to 1 or 2 playoffs so far. And at one point he became the highest paid guy or darn near the highest paid guy. It's life of trying to find the hardest position in sports to play at quarterback. And there's only so many of them. And your value in infinity. And that's the hard part. And, you have to weigh, from the team's perspective, you have to weigh, like, if we're going down this road for another 5 or 6 years, how do we contend? How do we do it? And it's one thing to pay, and Dak's 30, and we've known about the injuries that he's had, but he's just had his best season. All of these things to weigh into it makes it a hard answer. And look, if they sign Dak and they don't win a Super Bowl, what's everybody going to say? Why did they pay Dak? Never should have done it. If they don't pay Dak and he goes and wins a Super Bowl somewhere else, what are we all going to say? How can they not pay Dak?
Yes.
So you're never going to be right. You can only be wrong in this situation.
Well, and that's a tough situation. I'm glad I don't have to make those decisions, Todd, to be honest with you. Todd Archer covers the Dallas Cowboys for ESPN, and Justin Jefferson's name has come up, and I bring this up for a reason, that the Minnesota Vikings seem to be kicking the tires on maybe trading this guy and making somebody else pay that contract. Do you think the Cowboys would make a tough decision like that and maybe think about a CeeDee Lamb and dangle him out there?
I no, because he is their offense in many respects, right? I mean, look at the season he had last year, the 135 catches, 1,700 yards, team records. Now take him off this offense. How good is Dak? How good is the running game? How good is the offensive line? Like, to me, he's a huge part of it. And I'll use history a little bit too. When you think of the Cowboys and guys that they've paid, right? They paid just recently. They paid Dez Bryant. They paid a big ticket to get Joey Galloway years ago. They paid Michael Irvin. They paid Terrell Owens. They paid Roy Williams when they traded for him in Detroit. They paid Miles Austin. So they paid receivers. And CD is right up there with the best of them in this franchise's history. So I think of the three guys that we've talked about with Dak and Mike and CD, I think that one can get done because you can look and see Tyreek Hill, $30 million at the top of the market. CD's X years younger than him. The numbers that he's put up, what you think he can put up going forward. And if you get that deal done now, you save money against the cap, so you might not have to do some of these things with Dak's contract. To me, I would say the Cowboys would be wise to get that one done first. And there's maybe an easier path to get that one done as opposed to Dak's contract. I don't see them dangling him at all.
Interesting. I'm surprised that Minnesota's doing that as well, but they're in a little bit different situation, I think. Perhaps, anyway. Stephen also talked about the culture today, was asked about the culture of this football team. And I've heard that a lot, that maybe the culture is not what it should be. And I think a lot of folks are going off of that Green Bay playoff game where Cowboys obviously didn't look very good. What do you make? He says there's nothing wrong with it. What do you make of the Cowboys culture at this point in time, Todd?
I mean, and I don't want to sound like a homer and act like I'm agreeing with him in that sense, but I'll say this. Culture and accountability. If we were playing a drinking game this offseason, we'd be buzzed every single day of the week with how many times people brought up those words. It's ridiculous. If the Cowboys had a bad culture, I don't know how they would have won 36 games the last 3 years. That's my answer to that one. If there was a bad culture, they would not have won 36 games. They would not have made the playoffs 3 straight years. What it comes down to in the playoffs and what they've not done in the playoffs the last 3 years is their best players playing their best in the biggest moments. The best player the Cowboys had in the Packers game might have been Jake Ferguson, and it was a month and a half ago, so maybe I'm forgetting somebody else. But it was Jake Ferguson, you would say, was probably the best Cowboy that day. Michael Gallup might have been number 2. That can't happen. Dak has to be one. Micah has to be one. CD has to be one. You know, all your stars have to be those guys, and they weren't against the Packers. I think it comes down more to that than it does to culture and accountability and all these buzzwords that have been created here in recent years. Because I'll go back to it again. If they had a poor culture, if they had no accountability, how are they 12-5 every year?
Interesting. And I know everybody looks at the playoffs or failures from Dak Prescott and the Cowboys over the years, and that's what they all point to and not the regular season. So let me ask you this question then, because I'm of the opinion that the Cowboys' best shot at getting to NFC Championship or a Super Bowl was last year. They had a pretty good path. It seemed like everything was going the right way when the Eagles faltered the way that they did. Todd, I'm of the opinion that you sign Dak, you sign CD, you might even sign Micah at this point in time. There are a lot of holes to fill, that window is closed a little bit.
Yeah, no question. And Dak's going to be a year older. You don't know what's happening in your offensive line. 2/5 of your offensive line, they're unrestricted free agents. You don't know if Tyron Smith or Tyler Biadasz will be back. You have decisions to make on free agency on the defensive side of the ball with Stephon Gilmore. You got to find linebackers. You got to find some defensive line help. They missed the window, and it's almost in a way the 07 Cowboys, right? If that, to me, that still remains the best team the Cowboys have had since I've covered them to not get to an NFC title or a Super Bowl. They had 13 Pro Bowlers. It was Wade Phillips' first year, and they lose in the divisional round at home against the Giants, who go on to win the Super Bowl. That was their biggest opportunity missed. This one, to me, is right up there with that one because of how everything else had played out for them during that season with, like you said, Philadelphia falling apart, being the number 2 seed. You avoided San Francisco until a possible NFC title game. You were going to play two home games in the playoffs where you had won 16 straight. Everything was set up to you, and they just fell flat in their face. And everything about 2024 is always going to be viewed through the eyes of last season and how none of what they do in September, October, November, December, and early January is going to matter. It's going to be everything about the playoffs. In a way, I guess that was 23 was like as well.
Yeah, no question about it. Well, Todd, I know you enjoy covering the Cowboys because there's always something to talk about. We enjoy covering it well, and we enjoy talking to you. Best in the business. Todd Archer covers the Cowboys for ESPN. Appreciate you taking the time today.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Talk to you guys later.
Todd. Appreciate you. A lot of good stuff there to go over. We're going to hear from Stephen Jones as well. By the way, Todd Archer joined us via the Buyers Barricade guest line. All guests, in fact, appear on the Buyers Barricades guest line. Buyers Barricades provides traffic control, rental, and sales for San Antonio and beyond. You get them online at buyersbarricades.com. Todd Archer with his thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to hear from Stephen Jones, who is at the Combine in Indianapolis when we return right here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
It's the Morning Huddle with Rob and RJ.
Wednesday on the Morning Huddle, the San Antonio Spurs wrapped up the rodeo road trip. Did they get win number 2? We will obviously get into it. Plus, it's the week of the NFL Combine. And while what happens on the field may not be all too important, what is happening off of it is of critical importance. We start at 6 a.m. Get the coffee, get the donuts. We'll see you then on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Hi, Jason Minix here for my friends at Hill Electric. When you need an electrician, Hill Electric is available 24/7 for residential and commercial needs. I know I've used Hill Electric at my house for a variety of projects through the years. They've added extra outlets in the garage because, you know, the builder never puts enough in there. They put a nice spotlight over one of my grills outside, dimmer lights in the living room. They do fantastic work and have for over 3 decades. The family-owned Hill Electric has served San Antonio homes and businesses. Whatever your project is, Hill Electric has the right service for the right price. And you know what? Never a service charge, always free estimates. So it costs you nothing to figure out what it will take to get your project done. Hill Electric, a great local family-owned business. Again, never a service charge, always free estimates. Call Hill Electric at 210-404-9074, 404-9074, or check their website, hill-electric.com. That's hill-electric.com. Over the past decade, the Roo Pub has proven to be the best place to watch games with those 3 massive 170-inch screens and TVs all around. All the games, all the UFC fights, and when you show up at the Roo Pub, show up hungry. The food is fantastic. Open daily at 11. Great for lunch, great for dinner, great for late at night, and certainly the best place to watch a game. The Roo Pub is next to the Angry Elephant and in the same plaza as the Big Blind there at 281 in Redland Road. We'll see you at the Roo.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price. Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. But not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Hi, I'm attorney Steve Benke. If you've made the decision to divorce, you need an experienced attorney who can help. I've helped many people get through divorce, custody, child support, and alimony problems. Call me. I'm attorney Steve Benke.
210-DIVORCE or go to BenkeLaw.com.
My name is John. I could not lose the weight I needed to. The Institute for Functional Health Wellness Program was the answer. It included a great deal of testing, supplements, and weekly face-to-face doctor visits. I finally had the accountability I needed. I am now 50 pounds lighter. I no longer have pain in my elbow, back, and hips. I have more energy and just feel and look so much better.
Call for your complimentary consultation, 210-468-1891. I'm Dr. Torres at the Institute for Functional Health.
Dave Ramsey here from my friends over at Connecticut in San Antonio. Trust me, Connecticut water systems are the best of the best. I personally have one in my home. All those other water softener systems out there are junk in comparison. Connecticut uses less water and runs on kinetic energy. So there's no computer to break, fewer moving parts, and it works only when you need it. It was even voted most efficient water softener in the world by the Water Quality Association. The team at Connecticut San Antonio can test your water, install a system, and provide treatment all without stepping a foot inside your home.
I'm Chris Canepa of Connecticut and San Antonio in the Hill Country. I'll let you try a Connecticut quality water softener for 90 days absolutely free. Call us at 656-PURE, that's 656-7873, or visit us on ConnecticutSA.com.
And tell them Dave Ramsey sent you.
Call 656-PURE, Connecticut.
Let our team keep your home running comfortable and worry-free. Call on Mr. Electric for all your electrical needs, 210-248-2026. Or get a hold of us online at mrelectric.com and enter your zip code.
License number TECL 34221.
Cowboys play here. 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Buy into us.
Yes, please buy into us. Hey, I know something you need to buy into. We just got an update on our spring golf classic at the Golf Club of Texas. It's happening on March 25th. Got about 11 teams remaining. That's it. 11 teams. That's all we have left. So if you're thinking about getting in this thing, you need to get it done and get it done now. How do you do that? You go to sasportstar.com. You can sign up there. It costs $120 for one player to join, or a group of four can sign up together for $100 a piece. San Antonio Sports Star Spring Golf Classic at the Golf Club of Texas, presented by Flight by Yingling. It is March 25th, so don't wait. Register now, because you can't call up and say, hey, you got an extra spot, because we won't. And it's going to sell out. You know it's going to sell out. So, yes, Arnold, I'll be bringing my white belt and celebrity shots, tee shots, that is. No other shots for me. But we always have a great time. A lot of fun. If you play before, you know that. If you haven't, you need to get out there and join us. It's going to be a good time. March 25th at the new and improved Golf Club of Texas. If you haven't been out there for a while, my goodness, you're missing out. You need to get out there and have some fun. All right, we just talked with Todd Archer, who covers the Cowboys for ESPN. He had a lot of interesting things to say about what he heard today from Stephen Jones, who, of course, is at the Combine there in Indianapolis. That thing got underway yesterday. The players are out there, some interviews happening, but I know some agents, a bunch of agents are out there and all that kind of stuff. Really, the Combine is when a lot of things get either done or started, right? So the Houston Texans are out there as well. DeMeco Ryans, we're going to hear from him. But first, I want to talk and let you know what Stephen Jones had to say about the Dallas Cowboys. A lot to talk about. And one of the first things that's on everybody's mind, remember Jerry Jones? It wasn't too long after the playoff loss to the Green Bay Packers, and he basically said, you're all in. Well, the media wanted to know from Stephen what Jerry meant by that.
I've never known Jerry not to be all in any given year, but,
Yeah, well, how long has it been? 28 years? I guess he's been all in, but it's not quite all in good enough. But that's what he means. And look, all in, I think what Jerry meant, and you can listen to his comments, is that he's all in on signing the players that he needs to sign. Dak, Micah, CeeDee Lamb. Those three guys are the priorities, I think, and that's what he means by that. There's also been a lot of talk about the Cowboys culture. And I think it's fair. Now, Todd Archer was talking about the culture, and he doesn't really see anything wrong with it. And he cites the regular season success. And I guess that's fair. You can cite the regular season success. This Cowboys team has won 36 games over the last 3 years. The problem is that they don't seem to get it done when the bright lights are shining. And we certainly saw a great example of that against the Green Bay Packers in the first round of the playoffs, where the Cowboys just really didn't show up. So Stephen was asked if the Cowboys need a change in culture.
I think from the organization on down, we feel good about our culture. You always want to be better. I will say that. I mean, your results aren't winning the Super Bowl. I think everybody said, how do you ultimately be the last guy standing?
Well, that's obviously the question, but I think he's kind of missing the point there, because your culture is one that's, you get on the field and you don't lay an egg in the biggest game of your season, which they did. And I think part of that is the culture. The other part is, and I want you to listen to this soundbite very closely, because there was an issue in a lot of fans' minds with a certain number 11 and his podcast, where he had a tendency to roll some people under the bus. Now, I'm not sure this is what Stephen is talking about, but, we'll play it and you decide.
But I think overall, between organizationally, coach, our personnel department, I think our leadership on our team's outstanding. You're always going to have somebody who's going to say something. Might be, hey, that's their particular thought process on why we may have come up short. But personally, I don't think it's an issue.
Did you hear that? Now I don't know, and I'll let you guys decide. If you're driving around, if you're on YouTube, what do you think he did? It sounded to me like he was painting a picture of one Micah Parsons. There's always one that have their opinion of why things went the way they did. And if you'll recall, because we played the sound bites here, right here on the Blitz, Micah Parsons threw everybody under the bus. Everybody except himself. Dan Quinn, he threw under the bus. He threw Mike McCarthy under the bus. He threw his teammates under the bus. Play that soundbite one more time, please, Pledge.
But I think overall, between organizationally, coach, our personnel department, I think our leadership on our team's outstanding. You're always going to have somebody who's going to say something. Might be, hey, that's their particular thought process on why we may have come up short. But personally, I don't think it's an issue.
You're always going to have somebody who has their opinion of what went wrong or why they came up short. He's describing Micah Parsons. They couldn't have been happy about that last podcast. I mean, there's no way they could have been happy. And I know Cowboy fans love Micah Parsons. They love him. And he's a great player. And I think he's got a lot of potential to be an even better player as we move forward. And it's going to be interesting to see how Mike Zimmer uses Micah Parsons coming up this year. But the Joneses and the look, they could not have been happy about that last podcast. And I'm convinced, until somebody can prove me otherwise, that that's exactly who Stephen Jones was talking about right there, was Micah Parsons. Interesting to see how they address that. And I know Micah makes a lot of money from Bleacher Report to do that podcast, but it'd be interesting to see if he continues to do that or if he's allowed to. And I'm not sure the Cowboys can do much about it. Don't know. Here's the deal. The big talk, and it will be until the deal gets done, and that's Dak Prescott. Will there be an extension for Dak Prescott? Well, Stephen Jones said today he can't envision a Cowboys team without Dak.
Our whole thing with Dak is him being a Cowboy. That's all that's on our mind, and certainly don't get into those type of thoughts.
Yeah, but Stevie, not answering the question. Does he get an extension or not?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Interesting. When we visited with Todd Archer, and if you missed that, you can always go back to the audio vault powered by AA Best Bail Bonds and at San Antonio sportstar.com and listen to that, because he was very eye-opening and had some thoughts on this. But will Dak take a team-friendly deal? Will Dak realize that if he becomes the highest paid player in NFL history, that there might not be a lot of money left to put guys around him to fill the void that the Cowboys have? Or is it just all about Dak getting the money that Dak wants? Todd Archer said it, and I agree. He's already got generational talent or money. I'm not sure he has generational talent, but he certainly has generational money. Doesn't need money. The man's going to be fine. His kids will be fine. His grandkids and everybody will be fine. Dak's a smart guy. He'll do right by his money. But will he take a team-friendly deal? And do you want him to take a team-friendly deal? Would you blame him if he didn't? I guess is the key to that. Cowboys have a lot of holes to fill, man. They do. And again, that window is closed. And if Jerry wants to go all in, he needs a little help from some of his players. But it appears, at least at this point, Dak is in line to get a $60 to $62 million a year contract. Think about that for a minute. $60 to $62 million per year, a $300 million contract, which would make him the highest paid player in NFL history. I love you, Dak. I'm going to lose my mind if that happens, although I'm trying to convince myself that, and I know it's going to happen, probably will happen, but when it happens, even no matter how much I prepare, I'm going to lose my ever-loving mind when that happens. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to. The one thing Steven did say is, look, stop asking about it because we're not going to give updates all day long.
Hopefully we'll continue to make progress and communicate, but it's not going to be something, sorry to tell you guys, but we're not going to be giving reports on how things are going.
How long is it going to take? That's the thing. And Todd Archer, again, and it was a great interview, and I had a great time talking with Todd, but I was of the opinion that the Cowboys screwed up Dak Prescott's contract. Well, Todd disagreed. He said it was Dak. Dak bet on himself, took a chance on getting hurt, 2 franchise tags, and then he got more money. That the Cowboys actually offered him deals of somewhere in the neighborhood of $33 to $35 million a year. Dak held out, bet on himself, and ended up with $40 million a year and a $65 million signing bonus. So props to Dak Prescott. And again, look, I've got nothing against Dak Prescott as a person. He's a smart guy, smart businessman. He knows what he's doing there. I just don't particularly think he can get it done on the football field when it matters. And that's the playoffs, and that's what fans ultimately care about. Not only Dak has got to get it done in the playoffs, but Steven was talking about other players that they have got to go out, and it starts at the combine right now in Indianapolis, but they need players who have the moxie to win in the postseason.
We've got, I think, a great team put together the last 3 years, won a lot of football games, 36. Certainly where we have to improve is the postseason. Get the right kind of guys who step up and make big plays in the postseason. It's been a challenge in terms of our success there, and that's where we have to improve.
Yeah, how do you find those guys? They thought they had them this year. Their best opportunity to win a Super Bowl was this year, and they just let it go. Let it go because they had a bad attitude against the Green Bay Packers. The Packers came in hungry and kicked the Cowboys' butts. And that's what happened. And again, that's why we're here talking about Dak can't get it done in the postseason. The Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl or even been to an NFC championship game, for goodness sake, in many, many, many years. And that's a shame. Now, one of the big problems for the Cowboys was stopping the runs. Happened 2 years in a row. And I don't think we give enough credit to Leighton Vander Esch. I think this guy was very Sean Lee-like in a lot of ways. Number one, dealing with injuries. Number two, though, he was just the captain of that defense. And I really think his injury hurt the Cowboys when he went out. So Steven today was asked about LVE and, well, about his recovery.
We'll just let Leighton will speak to that. It's certainly an injury issue with him. That he's getting his hands around, and let him speak to that.
Let him speak to that. Now, I pledged talking about that when we heard that soundbite, and it doesn't sound good. Doesn't sound good. Most of the time, you would think somebody like Steven would say, well, he's recovering. We'll see how things go. He's rehabbing. Things look good, but we're just going to take our time and see. But when Steven comes out and says, we're going to let Leighton speak to that at a later time, I don't know. I don't think it looks good. I don't think it looks good for Leighton Vander Esch at all, and that's too bad. That's really too bad because he's a smart football player, good football player, and it's going to be a big hole for the Cowboys. Another hole that they have got to go in and figure out a way to fill. Stopping the run is huge. They haven't been able to do it the last 2 years. New defense, that will change things, hopefully, if you're a Cowboy fan, and they'll stop the run. And yeah, Pledge brings up a good point. He wrote me on the board in here. He said he's not saying that about Trayvon Diggs or DeMarvion Overshown. He said the same standard answer. Look, those guys are recovering. They're getting ready. So this was completely different. And it's unfortunate. You don't want to see somebody go out before they want to. But it looks like Leighton Vander Esch has played his last football game as a professional. And look, if he's hurt, if there's a chance that it would affect him down the line and to not have a healthy, happy life, then he should get out of football. He's made some money. And he'll be okay. And you hate to see that with football players of any kind, any position. You hate to see it, but it happens. It's a violent game, and well, that's the way it goes. We'll hear more from Stephen Jones coming up here in a little while because listening to Stephen and Jerry the same way, you never think you're really getting the answers, but you kind of got to read between the lines, don't you? A little bit. You got to read between the lines, like we did with LV, that Leighton Vander Esch comment there. But you got to read between the lines, like him talking about Micah Parsons. He did everything but mention Micah's name. Everything but mention his name. And this team has got to have an attitude adjustment. And I'm not sure Mike McCarthy's the guy to give it to him. That's why I am a firm believer he should have been fired, or you give him an extension, one of the two. But to have him sitting there as a lame duck, I think is doing the Cowboys more harm than it is good. And I know that Jason and a lot of Cowboy fans will say, well, he did such a great job with Dak Prescott. Whoa, they didn't want to start over. Dak Prescott's going to be 31 years old. He's going to win his 9th year in the NFL. I don't think he needs a coach to help him. I mean, the man ought to know how to play quarterback by now.
We have established a championship program. It's just not the world championship yet.
That's why they kept him. Oh, and that's what Mike probably went into Jerry's office and said. What did he say, Pledge?
We have established a championship program. It's just not the world championship yet.
Well, okay, Mike, in that case, we'll just let you go for one more year. Well, maybe we'll find that glory hole. Who knows? I don't know.
I want me some glory hole.
I know he does, but I think you got the wrong dudes, Jerry. You got the wrong dudes drilling, buddy. You need to find you some better roughnecks. Oh, my goodness.
You're talking to the wrong guy.
Better roughnecks, Jerry. Go find them. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, though, Sean Payton, the Denver Broncos head coach, one of my favorite guys in the entire world.
And you love him so much.
I do. Well, he gives us an update on what they're going to do with Russell Wilson. We'll talk to him. And maybe Greg Popovich, to get his guys motivated, should think outside the box. Maybe a pizza party, perhaps? I'll tell you what I mean when we return right here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 San Antonio Sports Stars Spring Golf Classic is set. Monday, March 25th at Golf Club of Texas. With plenty of prizes, including a shot at $50,000 in a trip to the big game. Go to sasportstar.com and get signed up. A 4-person scramble, $120 per player to join, or a group of 4 can sign up together for $400. It's the San Antonio Spring Golf Classic, benefiting the Will Smith Foundation. Monday, March 25th, presented by Flight by Yingling and 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Hey, I got some good news for you that's going to kind of lift your spirits on this Tuesday afternoon. I hope it does anyway. Have you ever been told you're not a candidate for full-mouth dental implants? I know that's a tough pill to swallow, but fear not, my friends, because I've got the scoop on Doctor's Implants. They're simply changing the game. These guys are no ordinary dental clinic. They're a squad of board-certified oral and facial surgeons, and they're on a mission to give you the smile that you have been looking for. What makes them stand out? Well, they don't believe in saying no to patients, whether it's bone loss or other unique medical situations. They're committed to finding a solution for everyone. So if you've heard the dreaded no before, don't throw in the towel. Call Doctor's Implants. And when you do, well, tell them I sent you. Joe Reinagel from the Blitz. You're going to get a complimentary consultation and CT scan. The number to call, 210-640-0000. Don't let old school dentistry hold you back any longer. Call Doctors Implants. That number again, 210-640-0000.
Get ready for the live tennis event of the year, the Netflix Slam, on March 3rd at 12:30 p.m. Pacific. Join 22-time Grand Slam champion and tennis legend Rafael Nadal as he takes on world number 2, Carlos Alcaraz, and witness a tennis showdown like never before. This live Netflix sports event promises unparalleled tennis action, so don't miss the thrill. Mark your calendars for March 3rd, 12:30 p.m. Pacific. It's Game, Set, Match on Netflix.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. Not one based on the driver who treats the highway like a racetrack and the shoulder like a passing lane. Why pay a rate based on anyone else? Get one based on you with DriveWise from Allstate.
Not available in Alaska or California, subject to terms and conditions. Rates are determined by several factors, which vary by state. In some states, participation in DriveWise allows Allstate to use your driving data for purposes of rating. While in some states, your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Generally, safer drivers will save with DriveWise. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said, "Maraca, senor," but his nose said, "Hey, freshest scent ever." Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring Gain scent beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, "Sir, your scent maracas smell amazing." You could call them scent maracas, but most noses call them Gain scent beads. Try Gain scent beads. Way fresher than detergent alone.
This year, Dell Technologies wants to help you do amazing things with their best tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors, and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9313. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9313. That's 800-575-9313. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
Hello, this is Chip with Diamond J Properties. You're invited to our coastal waterfront grand opening this Saturday, where you can get 2 acres with bay access for only $49.9. That's right, 2 acres bay access for only $49.9. This coastal waterfront community has over 4 miles of water frontage with access to the ICW, Gulf, Matagorda Bay, and much more. Property features paved roads, underground utilities, boat launch, pier, pool, cabana, and more. This property is shown by appointment only. Call now, 210-853-0389. 210-853-0389. 210-853-0389. 210-853-0389.
This is 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star, KTFM Floresville, your home for the Blitz with Jason and Joe on YouTube and always at sasportsstar.com. San Antonio's Sports Center.
San Antonio Spurs wrap up their rodeo road trip tonight. They'll do that against the Timberwolves in Minnesota. Tip-off from Minnesota is set for 7 o'clock. Texas Longhorns head up to Lubbock to take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Tip-off set for 8 o'clock. It's a game that will be televised on ESPN tonight. And the Cowboys not expected to franchise tag Tony Pollard. He's going to be a free agent.
Joe Reinagel.
That's the 3rd time in 7 seasons
The San Antonio Spurs are the NBA champions.
Jason Minutes.
They go back to big day as Super Bowl champions. Dallas 52, Buffalo 17.
It's the Blitz on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. This is the Blitz. I'm Joe Reinagel. Jason Minix with the day off. He's scheduled to be back with us tomorrow. We'll see what happens. But I expect him to be sitting across from me tomorrow afternoon. But as for today, thank you so much for riding along with me and Pledge, who is pushing all the buttons back there, making things happen. We appreciate that. Glad to have you along. If you want to comment, you can do that. If you're watching on YouTube, you can comment there. If you are on Twitter, at Joe Reinagel 210, you can send me a message there, or you can call in and be a part of the show, as always. 210-656-3776, 656-ESPN. That's how you get through to us here at San Antonio Sports Star. Anything that is on your mind. I got to ask y'all a question, though. And look, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to sound like either an old man or a prude. And I don't mean to sound like that, because I don't take it this way. Because I've seen myself in this position before and probably didn't realize it and didn't think anything of it. And people were probably talking about me. But last night, my brother-in-law, my wife, and I, everybody had been busy. So we go over to Willie's. Like Willie's. Willie's a good place. So we go over there and we just kind of sit in the bar area because, well, usually when we go out, we'll sit in the bar area. I like the service better, and it's just kind of more of a, I don't know, laid-back atmosphere, I guess. But there were a bunch of dudes in there, and I don't know if these guys came off a construction site. I don't think they did. I think they were military guys, maybe, or ex-military guys. I'm not sure, because I heard them talking about missions and doing this and that and stuff. And we're sitting right next to them. And in Willie's, there's like a row of chairs and tables, like 5 of them. And then you got the bar over here with chairs and stuff. So they were right there, but they were telling stories and having a good time, drinking cold beer. But if you've been to Willie's, there's a lot of families in there. There's F this and hey, F that and S this and all over the place. And I'm like, man. And so my wife turns to me and looks at me and says, we got to start a drinking game. So we'd be drunk in about 5 minutes every time one of these guys says that. Now, I know I sound like a prude or an old man and I don't mean that, because I know I've been in the situation before. But have you ever come across that? And if you have you ever done anything about it? I mean, I would hate to go up to these guys because they were big dudes, quite frankly. And say, hey, there's a kid right here. There's a little kid over there. Wasn't my kid, so I guess I shouldn't give a damn, right? I don't know. Am I sounding like an old man? Like a prude? I know there's a lot of folks on YouTube that have no problem telling me that I'm wrong. No problem telling me I'm acting like an old man. So if I am, I want to hear from you. I don't know. It just after a while, because this family was right to my left. And there were 2 kids there and mom and dad. And I guess it didn't bother them. Didn't seem like it did. If it did, they didn't say anything. But it was kind of like, ooh, really? All right. I know I'm sounding like an old man now, but I can't help it. It was just kind of weird in a small space like that. Weird. Now, if I hear that at the Roo Pub, I'm not thinking anything about it. Not a problem. It's just certain places, right? That you just certain places that you just talk in your inside voice. Now, say Miguel Martinez says, I'm the male version of a Karen. Perhaps, maybe. Gilberto Padilla on our YouTube channel says, they sound like my aunt. We have to be mindful of where we take her to eat because she gets mad when corrected. Well, I won't be correcting your aunt, Gilberto. That's
not who we are.
Exactly.
Knock off the board.
Now, see, I ought to have that on my phone, and I should have just played it. They'd be looking around, where the hell is Pop? Where is he? I don't know. I won't think anything. I just thought it was funny when my wife looked at me and said, we had to start playing a drinking game. We get drunk in about 5 minutes. And I thought that was funny. So anyway, I don't know how you handle that. I didn't do anything. So that's how I handled it. I just sat there and they just went on. They were big dudes. Did I mention that? Big guys. They don't have a bar fight. Those days are long since over. long since over. Oh, my goodness. Hey, let's do the headline blitz, Pledge.
This is Jason and Joe's Headline Blitz. Two guys, two opinions, never enough time.
All right, this is the Headline Blitz. And, of course, we've been talking about the Combine in Indianapolis. All of the, I say all of the head coaches, not all of them, but a lot of them are there. A lot of the GMs are there. We heard from Stephen Jones. We know Mike McCarthy's not going. Mike Zimmer's not going. But Sean Payton, the head coach of the Denver Broncos, one of my favorite people of all time. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I don't know the guy personally, but as a coach, he's a jackass. Did I say that out loud? Are there kids around? I don't really care for the guy as a head coach. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I really don't like what they did to Russell Wilson. And I'm not a huge fan of Russell Wilson last year, but telling him that if he didn't take out his injury clause, they were going to bench him for the last 8 games. So I just think that was wrong, and I think the Broncos are ultimately going to get in trouble for that because I think the union is making a stink about it. But Russell Wilson is set to make a lot of money, and I want to say about $37 million this year because you remember the Broncos gave up a ton for this guy, and they paid him a ton. So Sean Payton's got to make a decision. Do you cut the guy? Do you try to trade the guy? What do you do? Well, Payton said today at the Combine that a decision's coming soon.
I expect that we're going to know fairly quickly. I said it's a Super Bowl. There's a couple factors here. Obviously the cap projections came out. We're further down the road with the draft class, obviously the pro free agents. So I would anticipate it being, within the next 2 weeks.
Within the next 2 weeks, we'll know what Russell Wilson's going to do. A lot of places, I've seen a lot of rumors that Russell Wilson would be a good fit in New England. That's interesting. I've seen also that Justin Fields, who it looks like Chicago is going to trade, would make a good quarterback with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kirk Cousins has been rumored to head to Las Vegas. Interesting to see where all these quarterbacks are going to land and how different some of these teams are going to look once the free agency period's over and the new season begins. Who's going to be where, who's going to be doing what. Interesting. But Sean Payton says a decision on Russell Wilson, surely they can't bring him back. There's no way. I mean, you talk about, blowing up a bridge. I think the Broncos and Russell Wilson, that bridge is just nothing there left, and there's no way to get back across that divide. So we'll see what happens with Russell Wilson. On a brighter note, have you heard this? The Toronto Raptors head coach, his name is Darko Rajakovic. He says that the Raptors win over the Pacers last night, which was their 3rd in a row, by the way, earned the team a pizza party.
The story goes that I promised our guys early in the season that once we get 3 wins in the row, then I'm going to take them to a nice dinner. But since we have such a group of humble guys, they said, we don't need any fancy place. We can go for a pizza.
Isn't that nice of his players saying we don't need a fancy place? Look, if a head coach of a team offers you dinner if you win 3 in a row, I'm not choosing pizza. I mean, we're going to a nice steakhouse, for goodness sake. But the motivation is there. And I like this guy. Remember this Darko Rajakovic was complaining about the officiating a couple of weeks ago and went on a big rant. And I don't know if anything came out of that, but he's got his players playing. They won their 3rd straight, and now they want pizza. He was asked in that same soundbite, what was his favorite pizza? Was it pepperoni? And he said, no, it was margarita. I've had margarita, but I don't know about y'all. When I have pizza, I got to have meat, hamburger, sausage, pepperoni, Canadian bacon. They still call it Canadian bacon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He also said he wasn't a fan of pineapple.
Well, nobody's a fan of pineapple on pizza.
That's not true.
Except my daughter.
Me too.
I had no... Dude, if I want dessert, I'll order dessert. How do you have pineapple on pizza, Pledge?
Because it's delicious?
So meet my daughter and her husband and my grandson on Saturday. They want pizza. And we go to a pizza place, and Maggie and I order the one that we get, and it's got all the meat all over it. And God bless Maggie. She does that for me. She'd rather have a margarita pizza too. But she does that for me. And my son-in-law and daughter order, like, I don't know, pepperoni and pineapple. And
It's
I'm
better
like,
with Canadian bacon.
I'm like, what the hell? Pineapple. I can't do that. I can't. Pineapple on pizza. So it was even kind of weird to look at it and kind of disgusting, quite frankly. But it is what it is, I guess. And they ate it. And it's a good thing we didn't go to a Wendy's. Have you seen this? Wendy's is going to kind of be like Uber, is the best way to describe it. So let me try to explain this. There's an article that Wendy's is going to roll out surge pricing for their menu with prices that will rise and fall, by the way, based on demand. So in other words, you go in and order a Wendy's cheeseburger, and 3 people behind you order the same thing, they're going to raise the price. Now, if you, I don't know, go in and order a salad and nobody else is ordering a salad, then the price might fall. That's kind of what Uber does, right? The prices are more expensive if you're going to an event and it's crowded. So Wendy's is taking that. What do y'all think about that? I mean, you can't just go in, look at the menu and say, all right, a cheeseburger's $5 and French fries are this or that. It could move back and forth. And they've got the menu that they showed during this article I was reading, where it actually changes. Bam. The guy ordered a meal and the price went up like 20 cents. I mean, to me, that's crazy. So I guess if you don't follow somebody and the price rises, you're not going to have a problem with it. But if you're standing in line 5 back and you see that price continue to go up and that's what you want, I'm going to be a little bit bitter about that. And is this where we're going with restaurants? I mean, Wendy's is the first to do it. Is McDonald's going to be next, or Whataburger, or who knows? Everybody. And what I thought was weird about this, and I don't know where this is, and I haven't been to a Wendy's in a long time, full disclosure, but inside, and I've been to McDonald's where you order on the little menu deal, right? You order your own. There's no going up to the counter and say, I'll have a number 2 and a Diet Coke or whatever. Well, they had the same thing, but then they had somebody talking to you. It was like an AI thing. So weird stuff, but I don't know how I feel about that. We deal with it, I guess, with Uber. I mean, you deal with it. What are you going to do? If you need a ride and you need an Uber, you pay the price. So I guess we're going to deal with it. If you like Wendy's and you go to Wendy's quite often and the price rises right before your eyes, before you get up to the counter or to the menu to order, I guess you just have to deal with it or walk out and go somewhere else. I thought that was very fascinating, very weird too, by the way. It's just unreal in my mind. Something else that is unreal in my mind is that Victor Wembanyama will win Defensive Player of the Year this year. But James Pledger has a different opinion. We've gone over the numbers, and we're going to present them to you, and you can let us know what you think. He's going to win Rookie of the Year, there's no doubt, but could he add Defensive Player of the Year? We'll talk about that when we continue here on the Blitz on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 San Antonio Sports Stars Spring Golf Classic is set Monday, March 25th at Golf Club of Texas, with plenty of prizes, including a shot at $50,000 in a trip to the big game. Go to sasportstar.com and get signed up. A 4-person scramble, $120 per player to join, or a group of 4 can sign up together for $400. It's the San Antonio Spring Golf Classic, benefiting the Will Smith Foundation. Monday, March 25th, presented by Flight by Yingling and 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
You know, nobody ever plans on getting arrested, but it does happen to a lot of people every day for all kinds of reasons. If you get arrested or a friend or family member of yours gets arrested, you want to get out of jail fast because, of course, you do. The best way to do that? Call my good friend Albert and his great staff at AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. You can text the word bail to 474747, or you can start the bonding process online at mybestbailbonds.com. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else to get out of jail. And you don't want to be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you a PR bond, make sure you truly understand what those conditions are before accepting it. Your best option for stress-free bail bonds is AA Best Bail Bonds because nobody beats their price. They have payment plans available, a free shuttle service, and they're open 24/7. Offices all over San Antonio and Texas, services nationwide. License number 149. Call AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121.
Due to phenomenal demand, the tour continues. Hozier presents the Unreal Unearthed Tour 2024. Live in San Antonio. Frost Bank Center, September 24th. With special guest, Allison Russell. Get tickets this Thursday at noon at Ticketmaster.com. The new album, Unreal Unearthed, is available everywhere. For more, visit Hozier.com.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think you could beat lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text JUDGE to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text JUDGE to 42424. That's JUDGE to 42424.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Have you gotten your hands on Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds at HEB yet? Southern Recipe small batch offers big, bold flavors like hot honey, spicy dill, and sea salt and cracked black pepper. Bonus, you're going to love the low-carb, high-protein crunch. Turn snack time from ordinary to extraordinary with flavorful pork rinds. Pick up your favorite flavors of Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds at HEB today.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
Buyers Barricades is proud to provide traffic control, rental, and sales for work zones and events in the San Antonio area and beyond. Buyers Barricades, the Texas authority in barricade rental. Learn more online at buyersbarricades.com. That's buyersbarricades.com.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
My name is Jessica. Years ago, I was diagnosed with a thyroid condition. I slept all the time, was fatigued, had no energy, and a bad attitude. Now I've lost 50 pounds and I'm still losing. My medications have been scaled back. My emotions are stable and I have lots of energy. People at work say I'm happy, perky, and my husband says he's not walking on eggshells around me any longer. The Institute for Functional Health changed my life.
Call for your complimentary consultation, 210-468-1891.
I'm Dr. Torres at the Institute for Functional Health.
Tonight at 5:45, it's college basketball, Wisconsin and Indiana, on your home for March Madness, 94.1, San Antonio's Sports Star.
Well, we got early release again today, Pledge, 5:45. Little college basketball action. You know what I think I'll do is I'll go out and grab a chicken fried steak and put some ketchup on it. Right on top of the gravy, by the way. I think I'll do that. Sounds delicious.
You want to chastise me about my pineapple on pizza?
Yeah, somebody called in. Why didn't they say it to me? Says, oh, you're chastising him for his pineapple on the pizza, dude that puts ketchup on his chicken fried steak, which is absolutely delicious, by the way. Absolutely delicious. But, reading the comments on our YouTube page, I guess a lot of people are weirdos, and they like pineapple on their pizza. I don't get it, but I want all of you, if you haven't tried, if you're criticizing my ketchup on chicken fried steak and you haven't tried it, shame on you. You're missing out. You're absolutely missing out. So you should try it at least. And if you don't like it, cool, I can deal with that. Not a problem. But you ought to try it anyway. Unreal. I love ketchup on chicken fried steak. It's absolutely delicious. I had ribs last night that were good.
Put ketchup on them?
No ketchup on them. I don't put ketchup on everything, but on a chicken fried steak, it's delicious. And actually, you don't put it on top of the steak, Pledge. You put it on the side. Gravy on top.
Yeah, and you dip. I know.
And dip. And that's the way you do it. It turns out perfect. Perfect. Fred Villarreal says, I read DQ as a new spicy hot taco on the menu for Joe. I hope so, Fred. I hope you're not kidding around about that. Victor Wembanyama, everybody loves this guy. They love what he has been doing, how he's been improving, what he's been doing. And I think it's a shoe-in for Wemby that he's going to win Rookie of the Year. Chet, in my mind, didn't deserve it anyway because he's not really a rookie. I know he got hurt last year, but technically the guy's not a rookie. So he doesn't deserve it anyway. So this is justice as far as I'm concerned. And I think Wemby will win Rookie of the Year. The question that Pledge brought up to me yesterday, and I thought, interesting. Should he also be Defensive Player of the Year? And I thought, at first, there's no way. That's never going to happen. They're not going to let a rookie do that. But I said, okay, Pledge, let's look at the numbers and see if there is that opportunity or that chance. Looking at the numbers, there is that chance, I suppose, although the NBA is not going to let it happen. It's true, Pledge. The NBA is not going to let it happen, but he is pretty solid when it comes to defense. The guy's only behind two pretty good defensive players.
But in that what we should be bucking back against, it was like the argument that C.J. Stroud couldn't win MVP just because he was a rookie.
And he can't. A rookie. I mean, there's got to be some regulation on rookies. It's kind of like freshmen. Right? If you're a freshman, you just know that you're kind of a dork. All right. It's just the way that it is. You can
still be an All-American as a freshman.
Well, you can be, but it's not likely.
Freshmen win the Wooden Award all the time now. The best player in college basketball.
Look, you're kind of a dork. All right. Freshmen are dork. I'm sorry. I don't mean to, insult anybody, although I really don't care. When I was a freshman, I was a dork. Get off my lawn. When I was a freshman in college, I was a dork. It's just the way it is. It's life. It's life's rules, not mine. Look, how are you going to make a call? And I mean this in all sincerity, because we mentioned Wemby is tied for second behind Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. Both of those guys are pretty good defensive players, but Rudy Gobert is the standard for defense in the NBA. How in the world does he not get that award? He's leading by a wide margin, by the way, by both Wemby and Towns.
I look at him. You say he's the standard. Rudy Gobert is the standard.
Right now, yes.
How many blocks in front of Rudy Gobert is Victor Wembanyama?
Well, Wemby leads the league in blocks. All right.
He has more blocks, more steals.
So is Gobert 20 blocks behind? Because you put that number together.
Chet's 20 behind.
Okay, Chet. Jeez. Well, okay, that's the only stat that Wemby is leading in. It's the only one. Everything else, he's either second, third, or down the list.
I think the combination of everywhere he sits in all of those standings and the fact that he's playing less minutes than all of these other guys and still managed to blow by or keep up with all of them in all of these defensive metrics. Like, we need to stop with the it's always been done this way, so it needs to always be done this way mentality.
There's kind of something special about that, Pledge.
No, there's not.
There is. There is. Look, it's all right. We had this argument about Wemby not making the All-Star team. Well, freshmen just don't. There's been one rookie make the All-Star team. Same thing, rookie, freshman, whatever. And it's kind of the way it is. It's the club. It's just the unwritten rules that are.
That's a horrible reason, though.
Well, should Wemby have made, and if Wemby would have made the All-Star, who do you kick off? And how in the world can you justify the Rudy Gobert leads everybody in defensive efficiency by 3 points? How in the world do you look Gobert in the eye and say, hey, well, that other French guy is going to win it?
Because he is literally on your heels and doing better at you at most metrics in less time.
Which brings up the question.
You're cherry picking one singular stat.
No, that's overall, though, the defensive rating. Overall defensive rating, he's ahead by 3 points. And it's a big deal.
To mention, Wemby is doing this without help. He at least has Karl Anthony Towns to help him.
Well,
they've got the two best defenders.
They do.
Metric-wise, playing off of one another. Wemby is doing it with a bunch of guys that are dead last.
Now, is that Gobert's fault, or is that, I don't know, Pop's fault, or whose fault is it that Wemby has no help?
Well, it's an individual award. I don't care about his help.
I think that Wemby should be very happy with Rookie of the Year. That should be the deal. He's going to be happy with it, put it on his mantle. He's going to have a lot of time to get Defensive Player of the Year, but this year, it's just not in the cards. But it brings up the question, because the fellas this morning were talking about this, and I'm curious to get your opinion. Since the Spurs suck so bad, they get home from the rodeo road trip. Wemby has played enough games, almost. I think he needs 10 to 12 more to hit that 65-game mark. Do you shut him down after that? He's going to the Olympics this summer. He's got to play. He's going to play for France. Do you shut him down?
I mean, he's a rookie. He can't win anything, so you might as well shut him down. What's the point of playing? He's a rookie.
He's going to win Rookie of the Year. All he's got to do is play 65 games. They can give him the trophy now.
Not if you don't play 65 games, they can't.
He will play 65 games. I'm saying after that 65th game, do you wrap him up and put him in the closet?
You make the argument, yes, you can, because what else is there to play for this year? He has a busy summer. But to me, Wemby's the one that ultimately decides what he wants to do. If Wemby wants to continue to play on a bad team, I continue to let him play. But he's the guy I'm trying to keep happy in the future. This is a guy who changed teams twice in France in order of chasing winning.
Right. So you keep him happy. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
So if he wants to play, you let him play. If he's okay with sitting, then you're okay with sitting him.
I have an honest conversation with him about the pros and cons of it.
Look what the fellas were talking about, and those were the two choices. And to be honest with you, when I heard them, they both said, look, it's up to Wemby, just like you. And I'm of the opinion, I don't care. He's 20-year-old kid. He's got to play. The more he plays, the better he's going to be. And I think you make him play. Now, if you reduce his minutes, you reduce his minutes. But he's got to play. He's got to play. He's got to continue to play. If you want to shut him down maybe the last week or last 5 games, something to that effect, okay, I'm with you there. But otherwise, he's got to play. You see him playing. You see him improving. And so I don't shut him down with 17 games left to play in the season. He continues to play, as far as I'm concerned, at least until the very end. I don't care whether Wemby wants to or not. He plays. You think the Spurs have the stones to – Wemby says, no, I don't want to play.
I don't think Wemby has this I don't think Wemby's mentality is that he doesn't want to play. Everything I know about Wemby, everything he said, everything he was trying to get off the minutes restriction well before they finally let him off of it. Everything about Wemby's mentality tells me he wants to play. To me, if he's shut down, that's not a Wemby decision. That is a San Antonio decision.
Well, yeah, but I think he plays, and I think they will allow him to play. And you bring up a good point in the stats that we did here, and it baffles me again, and honestly kind of irritates me a little bit. That whole minutes restriction thing was such a ridiculous thing. When you see Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns both with 4 to 5 minutes on average per game, then Victor Wembanyama, it drives me insane that he was on this ridiculous minutes restriction for what, a month, if not longer. Drives me nuts. That was the stat that stood out to me. And look, he's not going to win Defensive Player of the Year unless something happens to Rudy Gobert, and then maybe he slides in there. But I just don't think it's going to happen. It doesn't happen. He'll win Rookie of the Year. He's got a long future ahead of him to rack up the trophy case, and I think he'll do that.
And I'm not saying I think he will either, because obviously this is the point of contention I have is with the league and the old mentality of it's always been this way, so it should always be this way, and nothing should ever change. That it is stupid, archaic, and is how you get stuck in the past. It is why baseball is the least watchable of all the major sports.
I love watching
because
baseball.
They were so far behind on keeping up with the times.
I love watching baseball.
Well, now I do.
I mean, the pitch clock, I didn't even think about it anymore. It was like it was just there, but nobody even thought about it.
Well, took them 50 years, but they finally updated the game.
Baseball is awesome. Love baseball, and it's getting started. Look, I get where you're coming from. I love your passion pledge for Wemby. I hope the guy does well. If he has a long career in San Antonio and racks up a closet full of trophies, it's just not going to happen this year. I hate to break it to you.
You're not breaking anything I don't know. I'm just saying we need to fix the system. The system is broken.
Well, it's
fundamentally because of this.
All right, from here on out, 26, 27 games left in the season. Wemby's got a chance to pass Gobert in the stat category. If he does that, I'm with you.
Do you think he's even with the stat lines the way they are, with all the research we've done on all the numbers and where he ranks in most defensive metrics? Do you think he at least deserves to be one of the 4 or 5 finalists that they end up naming for the award?
Yes, I do.
Do you think he will be?
Yes, I do.
You do?
I think he will be mentioned, yes, as a finalist. Sure. No, I really do. Why wouldn't they? Now, that would be stupid to me. If you're just gonna
because he's a rookie.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. If he's not at least in the conversation, then that's a travesty, and that's not right. I will agree with you there completely, but he's not going to win it. That won't happen unless he has an incredible finish to the season somehow, and Gobert struggles. Then I'm with you, and I'll get on that bandwagon. But until then, belongs to the other French guy, the older French guy, Rudy Gobert.
Because that's the way it's always been.
Because he's earned it. At this point in time, Gobert has earned it. He's earned it. It's his trophy to lose. So we'll see. We'll talk more about that, Pledge. I want to talk to you guys about something that I saw, and we'll do this when we come back from the break. Look, if you listen to the show at any point in time, and I think it goes for pretty much, a lot of us, I love to bet on sports. Love to. I think Pledge does. I know Jason does. Rob, RJ, they do. But in order to be comfortable putting your hard-earned dollars on a game, you want to make sure that game is legit. There's no hanky-panky going on. Well, I saw something last night, and I don't know if you guys saw this. It was in the Knicks-Pistons game. There's about 8.5 seconds left to go in the game. There was a clear foul. It was not called. We're going to discuss that when we come back. Plus, I'm going to dispute something Jim Rome said today on his show. We'll do that when the Blitz continues right here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. First, though, I got to tell you about Marquee Dental, right? And I've got a message for you that's going to change your game in about 60 seconds. Let me ask you a question. Are you fed up with the same old dental routine, those endless trips to the dentist, dealing with missing teeth, temporary fixes that really never seem to stick? Well, I've got the answer for you. It is Doctor's Implants. At Doctor's Implants, their board-certified oral and facial surgeons are ready to transform your smile. Don't let old school dentistry hold you back any longer. Embrace your future with full mouth dental implants at Doctor's Implants. You can check them out at doctorsimplants.com. And here's the kicker. When you call them at 210-640-0000, tell them I sent you, Joe Reinigle from the Blitz. You're going to get a complimentary consultation and CT scan. Your journey to that perfect smile begins at Doctor's Implants, so don't wait. Call them today, 210-640-0000.
It's the Morning Huddle with Rob and RJ.
Wednesday on the Morning Huddle, the San Antonio Spurs wrapped up the rodeo road trip. Did they get win number 2? We will obviously get into it. Plus, it's the week of the NFL Combine. And while what happens on the field may not be all too important, what is happening off of it is of critical importance. We start at 6 a.m. Get the coffee, get the donuts. We'll see you then on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Over the past decade, the Roo Pub has proven to be the best place to watch games with those 3 massive 170-inch screens and TVs all around. All the games, all the UFC fights, and when you show up at the Roo Pub, show up hungry. The food is fantastic. Open daily at 11. Great for lunch, great for dinner, great for late at night, and certainly the best place to watch a game. The Roo Pub is next to the Angry Elephant and in the same plaza as the Big Blind there at 281 in Redland Road. We'll see you at the Roo.
Hi, I'm attorney Steve Benke. If you've made the decision to divorce, you need an experienced attorney who can help. I've helped many people get through divorce, custody, child support, and alimony problems. Call me. I'm attorney Steve Benke.
210-DIVORCE or go to BenkeLaw.com.
When liberal Alan Schoolcraft served in the Texas House in the 80s and 90s, Schoolcraft voted for every Democrat House Speaker over and over again. Liberal Schoolcraft also donated thousands to Democrat Henry Cuellar, and Liberal Schoolcraft authored legislation to double fees, but never cut taxes or protect life. In his last losing campaign in 1992, the San Antonio Express-News actually retracted their endorsement of Schoolcraft because he was caught lying about his opponents. Now, Liberal Schoolcraft is lying about conservative John Kimple and running with a dangerous plan that defunds Guadalupe and Gonzales County schools and hikes your taxes by $2 billion. Let liberal liar Alan Schoolcraft keep enjoying his retirement from politics. Conservative John Kimple is endorsed by the NRA, Texas Alliance for Life, and every police group. Kimple cut property taxes a historic $18 billion and increased border funding by 630% to shut down Biden's open border. If it's conservative, John Kimple gets it done.
Political ad paid for by the John Kimple campaign.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time. There's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right?
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thingy.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Buyers Barricades is proud to provide traffic control, rental, and sales for work zones and events in the San Antonio area and beyond. Buyers Barricades, the Texas authority in barricade rental. Learn more online at buyersbarricades.com. That's buyersbarricades.com.
This is Jim Rome. Join me weekdays at noon on my new home, 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Jim Rome was dead wrong today. I'm driving in, listening to this guy. He's talking about my good friend Monty Williams and what happened to the Detroit Pistons last night in New York. The Knicks escaped with a 113-111 victory over the Pistons. And look, I know the Pistons are not very good. By the way, this is the Blitz. I'm Joe Reinagle, a 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. Happy you guys are along. But yeah, he was talking about, and we're going to hear from Monty Williams, who was very upset. There was a clear foul with 8.5 seconds last night, 1-point game. The Pistons have only won 8 games all year, so they had an opportunity to beat a good Knicks team on the road. And Dante DiVincenzo plowed into Pistons forward Asar Thompson. The NBA has admitted that the call was wrong. There was a no call. They didn't call the foul. But DiVincenzo actually mowed Thompson down. I mean, he did. And Thompson was going to have a clear path to the bucket on the other side. Now, would it have eventually won the game? Who knows? But it was a clear foul. It wasn't called. Monty Williams was just livid about all of this. And he said that it was the worst call of the season.
Where's the New York media now? The absolute worst call of the season. No call. And enough's enough. We've done it the right way. We've called the league. We've sent in clips. We're sick of hearing the same stuff over and over again.
And I don't blame him. I mean, he was upset. Now, Monty went on to say, and you heard him there, but he reiterated the fact that look, enough is enough.
We had a chance to win the game, and the guy dove into Asar's legs, and there was a no call. That's an abomination. You cannot miss that in an NBA game, period. And I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of our guys asking me, what more can we do, coach? That situation is exhibit A to what we've been dealing with all season long, and enough's enough.
And look, and the word that Rome kept hitting on was the abomination word, where Monty Williams kept, it's an abomination. And look, if you listen to Jim Rome, he's a very entertaining guy. And typically I don't really agree or disagree with the guy, but you know, he's talking about the abomination that is the Detroit Pistons. And that's what Monty Williams should be worried about. The abomination that they only have 8 games or 8 wins on the season. And the abomination of this, not the officiating. And look, while I think the Detroit Pistons could be considered an abomination, they're not very good, along with the Washington Wizards and the San Antonio Spurs for that matter. The fact of the matter is the call was wrong. And you're going to sit there and get upset with Monty Williams because he's upset with a horrible call, a horrible missed call. It was the first time that I'd ever want to just throw something at the radio when he's talking about this. And I know it's his shtick. He gets in and he's wanting to talk about, have some fun with these guys about what they say. But this was dead wrong because the NBA's dead wrong. And you can't miss calls like that. And all Monty Williams wants is a fair game.
You cannot dive into a guy's legs in a big-time game like that and there be a no call. It's ridiculous, and we're tired of it. We just want a fair game called, period. And I got nothing else to say. We want a fair game, and that was not fair. I'm done.
And look, it wasn't. And that particular one call may not be the reason they lost the game and ended up losing it. But to get on a national radio show and say the abomination isn't the officiating, it's you, it's your team, is just dead wrong. And he was dead wrong about that. You were wrong, Jim Rome. And the reason I say that and why I brought it up, and I didn't know I was going to talk about Rome and what he was going to say until I was listening to him driving in here. But I looked at this as a gambler, all right? And we have been talking about officiating, gosh, since the football season began, whether it's the NBA or the NFL and the bad calls. And look, and I'm not just talking about bad calls or what you think or perceive are bad calls when your team loses a game. There are missed calls and then there are missed calls, all right? I can give the officials a break when it's just something that's not, it's minor. And maybe you call it one way, maybe you don't. This last night was clearly a foul. There is no question about it. And the fact that the NBA has come out already and admitted that they missed this call is why I don't understand the entire rant. But I'm going to get off of that and go to this. There was an article that I read today that the NFL and the NBA, for that matter, is thinking about buying into ESPN Bet. Now, ESPN has just gotten into the betting business. They're an app just like the MGMs, the DraftKings, the FanDuels, all of that kind of stuff. Well, apparently, it has been talked about that the NFL and the NBA want to buy a piece of ESPN. Not necessarily the bet part, but look, if you're buying ESPN, you're buying the ESPN bet as well. My concern is if the leagues do that, does that make the gambling aspect of sports more credible or less credible? If the league owns an app that you can bet on, to me, that calls into question about what you're betting on. I don't think it's a good idea. Now, look, I know that advertisements with the FanDuels, with all the betting apps that do business, that pump tons of money into these professional sports. I mean, there are figures of $2.5 billion that FanDuel and DraftKings and all of that stuff put into the NFL this year. $2.5 billion. But that's just a speck of what the NFL, the NBA could make if they were partners and bought into ESPN. I find it interesting, but I think that is a slippery slope. And look, I'm all for sports gambling. Wanted it to be voted on here in this current election that's coming up in November. But, the politicians decided they knew best and they weren't going to let the people decide. They were going to decide for us because they're a hell of a lot smarter than we are, apparently. I'll get off my political rant, but still, let the people decide. If you don't want sports gambling in Texas, then vote no. And if the voters say no, it's no. My issue is if we're going to have this, and it looks like we will one day, I don't know when that day will be, but one day we will. Other states have done it. Other states are going to do it. It's going to happen. As more states come on board, the integrity of what we're doing and what we're betting on has got to be 100% solid. Or you're going to ruin everything, not just the betting aspect of it. You're going to ruin sports. So it's such a fine line. It's why it has taken so long for professional sports to embrace Las Vegas and to even say out loud that secret that is gambling. Look, if you've listened to the show, even if you haven't, I'm not afraid to admit this. My father was a bookie. So I've grown up around gambling my entire life. He did it, just a friendly, neighborhood community bookie that everybody in the small town that I grew up in gambled with him. And it was no big deal. That was before the apps and everything else, but it was also illegal or considered illegal, even though the sheriff of Jim Wells County actually bet with my father at that time. So there was not much of a chance that anything was going to happen to him. But look, it is a part of sports. Saw the greatest story the other day, and it was before the Super Bowl, and it was talking about the CBS pregame show back in the day with Brent Musburger and Jimmy the Greek and Irv Cross, and it was fabulous. But Jimmy the Greek was brought in for that specific reason, and it was such a taboo thing at that time that they had to phrase it in different ways, not talk about point spreads. They just had to do it in different ways. And I thought it was fabulous. But look, sports gambling is here. And the only way it dies and the only way it kills the sport is if the integrity of the sport is compromised. And it can't be. So I'm concerned that the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, hockey, soccer, whatever you want to name, they start buying into these things and are owners of it and have a say-so in how they're run. That concerns me to a point that the integrity of the game could be compromised in some form or fashion. They need to stay out of that business. And if they go in and buy and try to be partners with an ESPN or name one, then the gambling aspect has got to be out of it. Look, ESPN got into the gambling portion of this because they know there's money to be made, a lot of money to be made in sports gambling. That's why they did it. They didn't do it for their health. But the NFL and the NBA have got to stay out of it. And I thought that this was a perfect way when you're seeing calls like we had just talked about in the NBA, there are obvious calls. The other call that comes to mind is in the NFL, the playoff game. Was it the Saints that got royally screwed by a clear no pass interference call? And then the Rams went on to win the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure that's the year that happened. And they should have been beaten by the Saints in that playoff game. It was a horrible call. Again, there's some leeway for officials. I like the human element of officiating. I do. I don't want to see a bunch of machines making decisions for what should be a human game. But when it's obvious, when it's egregious, like what we saw last night, that's what concerns me. And the NFL, the NBA, even though Roger Goodell came out and said that his officiating crews are fantastic, they're fine, they're not. They've got to be held to account. They have to be. And they've got to be scrutinized and punished when they miss things, because that's what's going to keep people happy. It's an enjoyment. That's what it's meant to be. And I'm talking about sports gambling. I don't want people to get in over their heads, but that's anything. You got to be careful, and you can't legislate morality. People are either going to be responsible or they're not. You can't legislate responsibility. But you can stay out of things that make things look shady. I wanted to bring this to your attention because that is the article out there, and it's kind of going under the radar a little bit that these sports leagues, these professional leagues are thinking and perhaps negotiating behind the scenes to buy a piece of what Disney owns, which is ESPN. And I think that that is a big mistake unless there are some roadblocks or guardrails put in that stop this stuff. So we'll see what happens. In the meantime, I guess I'll continue to throw a few bucks down on some games and enjoy myself and have a good time. It was a terrible call last night, Jim Rome, and you ought to be talking about the bad call and not the abomination that is the Detroit Pistons. Do better, my friend. All right, I feel better now. Hey, when we come back, the Houston Texans were also at the NFL Combine today in Indianapolis. DeMeco Ryans met with the media. We'll hear what DeMeco had to say about his Houston Texans and where they go from what was an incredible season in Houston. We'll do that as we continue here on the Blitz on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 San Antonio Sports Star Spring Golf Classic is set Monday, March 25th at Golf Club of Texas with plenty of prizes, including a shot at $50,000 in a trip to the big game. Go to sasportstar.com and get signed up. A 4-person scramble, $120 per player to join, or a group of 4 can sign up together for $400. It's the San Antonio Spring Golf Classic, benefiting the Will Smith Foundation. Monday, March 25th, presented by Flight by Yingling and 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
You know, injuries happen, and when they do, you can skip the ER and get straight to an Ortho Now Injury Clinic by TSAOG Orthopedics and Spine. Ortho Now provides walk-in care for injuries like broken bones, dislocation, sprains, strains, conveniently located in the Corey area with extended hours Monday through Saturday. They have on-site x-ray, casting, and bracing. Ortho Now has everything you need to treat your injury, but best of all, no urgent care or emergency room copay. Learn more online at TSAOG.com.
Flight by Yingling is the next generation of light beer. For those who don't follow trends, but craft them. Flight by Yingling is 12 ounces of uncompromised refreshment from America's oldest brewery. With only 2.6 grams of carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Don't just raise a glass, raise the bar. Flight by Yingling. Available wherever beer is sold. DG Yingling and Son Incorporated, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please enjoy responsibly.
You want to know the difference between Steve Allison and Mark LaHood? Steve Allison defends kids. Mark LaHood defends violent criminals. Steve Allison banned drag shows for children. LaHood brags on his own law website about getting sex offenders off the hook. Steve Allison is a lifelong conservative. LaHood voted for liberal Democrats, including Joe Biden, all the way up until 2022. Steve designated Mexican drug cartels as terrorists. LaHood chooses to defend Mexican drug traffickers, putting them back on the streets. Steve Allison empowered police to arrest and deport illegal immigrants. Mark LaHood defended a violent criminal who was caught trying to murder a Border Patrol agent. The NRA, San Antonio Police Officers Association, and the Bexar County Deputy Sheriffs all endorsed Steve Allison. LaHood's campaign is paid for by neo-Nazi affiliates and criminals he's gotten off the hook. Steve Allison is honest and decent. Everything LaHood says about Steve is false. Every word. Now you know the difference.
Political ad paid for by the Steve Allison campaign.
I am James, Senior Apparel Designer, and this is Behind the Design with Hawks. Hawks is your classic workwear brand. It's designed for those guys that are on the job site. Just driven performance, just rugged and comfortable. Thinking of durability, everything is either double, triple stitched, bar tacked. It's build durable. It's going to perform. It's going to move with you. It's going to have everything that you need in a product. Hawks, only at Boot Barn.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
That doesn't sound good.
Paper shredder's jammed, but I think I fixed it.
Oh, well, try shredding these $50 bills then.
Seems like it's working.
Better try another $400.
Stop. Instead of using money, use regular paper. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Dave Ramsey here for my friends over at Connecticut in San Antonio. Trust me, Connecticut water systems are the best of the best. All those other water softener systems out there are junk in comparison. Kinetico uses less water and runs on kinetic energy. So there's no computer to break, fewer moving parts, and it works only when you need it. It was even voted most efficient water softener in the world by the Water Quality Association. The team at Kinetico San Antonio can test your water, install a system, and provide treatment all without stepping a foot inside your home.
I'm Chris Canepa of Kinetico in San Antonio in the Hill Country. I'll let you try a Kinetico quality water softener for 90 days absolutely free. Call us at 656-PURE, that's 656-7873, or visit us on KineticoSA.com.
And tell them Dave Ramsey sent you.
Call 656-PURE, Kinetico.
When a cold keeps you up, try NyQuil Severe Honey Flavor. The nighttime, sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, Honeylicious, best sleep with a cold medicine. Powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a dreamy honey taste to give your body the rest it needs to get that cold gone. Wake up refreshed, feeling relieved after enjoying the delicious flavor of NyQuil Severe Honey. NyQuil Severe Honey Flavor, use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
KTFM Floresville. This is 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star, your home for the Aggies. San Antonio's Sports Center.
Stephen Jones said today that they want to get a contract extension done with Dak Prescott. He says he can't imagine life without Dak as a Cowboy. But the Cowboys are not expected to give running back Tony Pollard a franchise tag before he's set to enter free agency. That's according to ESPN. And the Spurs close out the rodeo road trip tonight in Minnesota against the T-Wolves. Tip-off set for 7 o'clock.
Joe Reinagel.
That's the third time in 7 seasons the San Antonio Spurs are the NBA champions.
Jason Minutes.
They go back to big day as Super Bowl champions. Dallas 52, Buffalo 17.
It's the Blitz on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome into the Blitz right here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. I'm Joe Reinagel. James Pledger pushing all the buttons out there. Jason Minix with the day off. He is scheduled to be back tomorrow. So we will say hello to him. And, of course, the Minix family celebrating a little bit. His wife, Joanna, pretty cool thing, ran a half marathon in Las Vegas on Sunday night. And pretty cool deal. There were a lot of people with the pictures that he sent back, but you run at night. So they finish up down the strip with all the lights on and all that stuff. And that's pretty cool. If you're going to run 13 and a half miles or whatever it was, I guess you can do it under the lights. Me personally, I'm not going to do that. But hey, if Joanna enjoys that, and I know a lot of you probably do out there as well, then more power to you and good for you. But that's what they were doing, and then they decided to stay a day and take in the sights or gamble or whatever they were doing there yesterday. So congratulations to Joanna Minix for running in that half marathon there in Las Vegas. Man, a lot to talk about. Been a lot going on, and I appreciate y'all being with me. If you were with me in the last segment, the little soapbox that I went on, but I just feel that passionately about it, and I think it can be a very good thing about professional sports, and I'm talking about sports gambling, if it's done right and we don't get over our skis, so to speak, and get too greedy with what we're doing. Biggest story in the NFL last year, certainly one of them, was the Houston Texans. Nobody thought the Houston Texans would perform as well as they did. I mean, these guys were incredible, made the playoffs, won a playoff game, and then we're knocked out. But it was just an incredible season that nobody saw coming. DeMeco Ryans in Indianapolis this week, as a lot of head coaches are for the NFL Combine. And he met with the media today. And the first thing he was asked, and it's a legit question, is how in the world do you follow up on that terrific draft that you had last year this year?
We continue to add guys who fit the Texans culture. And that's guys who are made of the right mindset, guys who have that relentless mindset, guys who are true competitors, guys who love football, right? We add those type of players to our locker room. That's how we follow up a great draft last year.
That was an incredible draft, and I'll never forget it. When they selected C.J. Stroud number 2 and then immediately made a trade, got back into the 3rd pick, and boy, I mean, it was just a hell of a draft, and it paid off. But I think more than that, it was DeMeco Ryans, and that guy just we talk about culture with the Cowboys. They brought in DeMeco Ryans, and that culture in Houston changed overnight. It was immediate, and that was for sure. And so this guy is incredible. Not only that, they obviously got the best quarterback in the draft. Everybody was thinking Bryce Young, and the jury's still out. And I think it's unfair to say he's a bust. We don't know that. He was on a very bad Carolina Panther team. Hopefully they get that kid some help. But C.J. Stroud came in and from day one looked like a professional, like he'd been in the league for years. And DeMeco said today that he saw it in C.J. right away.
It started right here at the Combine. You see CJ come into our room in the formal interviews and just see, he had that calmness about him. And you can tell, for me, I can tell instantly if a guy, has what it takes. And I saw that in CJ when he first sat down.
And you know what? I believe him. DeMeco's not that far out of the game. I mean, he's not. He knows how it works, and he knows how players are. And I just think that being that close, he had immediate respect. What he did in San Francisco with that defense just added to that respect. And, boy, the Houston Texans got it right all the way around last offseason. Not only the draft, but the hiring of the head coach. And they keep their coordinators this year. That's going to help them tremendously as well. But back to C.J. Stroud. DeMeco says he saw it right away, but it wasn't just DeMeco that saw it. The rest of the Texans saw it as well.
And then you see his teammates and how they spoke about CJ. I remember being here last year, and every Ohio State teammate that sat in our room, they spoke highly of CJ and the type of leader he was and what he meant to them and the things that he did to those guys to help them.
I find it fascinating, too. DeMeco also talked about just CJ and the way he was raised and gave a lot of credit to his parents and the great young man that he is and just how humble he is. He's just an all-around good guy. I mean, apparently, and it looks like it. So I find that fascinating, and I'm happy for that young man and happy with the success. But DeMeco also wanted to make a point today, I believe. He said, look, we had a great season last year. But he says, just because we had a great season last year, well, every season's a new year.
For me, every season you start over. Last year was last year. It was a good run for us. Didn't end the way we wanted it to end, but it was a good run for the 2023 Texans. Now, for me, it's a clean slate. We start over 2024. Now, who are we going to be?
Who are we going to be? I have a feeling they're going to be pretty good. But look, they're going to have a tougher schedule this year. There's no question about that. There's film on C.J. Stroud now. Everybody's going to have it. They're going to have plenty of it. They've got a lot of free agents they've got to deal with because if you recall, the Texans signed a lot of guys to one-year contracts. So they've got some work to do to get some of those guys back, and I think they will. I think some of those guys will come back. Obviously, not everybody will come back, but some will. But the future, you have to say, is bright. They're doing it right in Houston. They finally got rid of Bill O'Brien and the stink that he left behind. Cleaned that out, got themselves a coach. And look, there are a lot of good coaches in the NFL. But, man, if I was a player and had the opportunity to play for DeMeco Ryans, how could you say no to that? I mean, that would be very difficult to do without a doubt. The guy just exudes confidence, and you just want to play for him. You want to bust your butt for him, and you saw that in the Houston Texans, too. Overachieve the way that they did. I say overachieve. Maybe we're the only ones that thought they overachieved. The people in that locker room certainly didn't think they overachieved. They think they underachieved. You heard DeMeco earlier. He said, look, it didn't end the way we wanted it to end. We thought we could go further than that. And I believe him. I believe he believes what he said. So interesting, and like hearing from DeMeco. And we'll continue to hear from DeMeco for sure. But we've also got those Dallas Cowboys and their problems and their drama and all of that good kind of stuff. And, well, Stephen Jones was at the Combine today. And so was our good buddy Todd Archer from ESPN, who covers the Dallas Cowboys for ESPN. And he was sitting front row seat ringside and asking a lot of the questions as well. We're going to hear from Todd Archer and his comments on Stephen Jones and Jones's comments when we continue here on the Blitz on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 San Antonio Sports Stars Spring Golf Classic is set Monday, March 25th at Golf Club of Texas, with plenty of prizes, including a shot at $50,000 in a trip to the big game. Go to sasportstar.com and get signed up. A 4-person scramble, $120 per player to join, or a group of 4 can sign up together for $400. It's the San Antonio Spring Golf Classic, benefiting the Will Smith Foundation. Monday, March 25th, presented by Flight by Yingling and 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
If it's been a while since you've been to the dentist, you need to find a new dentist. You need to go see my dentist, Dr. Smith, over at Smile Structured Dentistry and Braces. They can handle all your dentistry needs. And if your kids need braces, they'll do orthodontics. If you need Invisalign, you could do that as well. In fact, I started the Invisalign process a couple of weeks ago. Smile Structured Dentistry and Braces is a general and family dental practice. From cleaning and whitening to crowns, fillings, dental implants, wisdom teeth extraction, they can handle every aspect of your dentistry needs. Emergency situation, they can get you taken care of. Mention 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star and you'll get a free exam and x-rays. Medicaid and all PPO insurance is accepted, and they offer a dental savings plan if you don't have dental insurance, and they offer discounts to uninsured veterans. The veteran-owned and operated Smile Structured Dentistry and Braces has 5 San Antonio area locations. Learn more and book an appointment online at smilestructured.com. That's smilestructured.com.
Due to phenomenal demand, the tour continues. Hosier presents the Unreal Unearthed Tour 2024. Live in San Antonio. Frost Bank Center, September 24th. With special guest, Allison Russell. Get tickets this Thursday at noon at Ticketmaster.com. The new album, Unreal Unearthed, is available everywhere. For more, visit Hosier.com.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
When your business needs an electrician, for over 35 years, the family-owned Hill Electric has served San Antonio. Powered by relationships with dedicated estimators who analyze the issue, research cost-effective solutions, and clearly communicate the options without charging you a dime. A proven process that allows you to continue focusing on your unique purpose. Call Hill Electric at 210-404-9074. That's 404-9074. Or hill-electric.com.
We're in the studio right now with Jose from the Gomez Law Firm. Online client reviews and testimonials are incredibly important. Joe Gomez Law is the leader when it comes to 5-star reviews.
We encourage people to go online and look at our reviews. There's a lot of attorneys that might not want you to do that, but we encourage you to do that because we want to make sure that you feel comfortable choosing the right attorney. And we assure you, you go to Google and look up our reviews, you're going to be satisfied. We have almost 1,000 reviews, and we're very highly rated.
If anyone from San Antonio or even anyone from Texas is looking for a trusted attorney, the Gomez Law Firm is for you.
There are not a lot of businesses that stick around for even 50 years, let alone personal injury law firms.
If you have been injured in an accident or hit by a company vehicle, then you need to visit joegomezlaw.com.
And remember, Gomez Law fights.
Tonight at 5:45, it's college basketball, Wisconsin and Indiana, on your home for March Madness, 94.1, San Antonio Sports Star.
This is the Blitz here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. What a day. What a day. It always is, and the NFL is always kind of taking center stage, and especially the Dallas Cowboys as the NFL Combine is taking place in Indianapolis this week. And, of course, we always await the Joneses, Stephen and Jerry, and when they're going to say something and talk about their team and what they plan to do in the offseason. Well, today, Stephen Jones met with the media, and ESPN's Todd Archer had a front row seat, I suppose, there with Stephen Jones. He joins us now on the Buyers Barricade guest line. And Todd, appreciate you taking the time to come on with us today. Just your initial thoughts on what Stephen had to say. He talked about a variety of things, and I'm not sure we got a clear answer on anything.
Correct. That's what I was just going to say. As clear as mud. He didn't want to go, and understandably so, he didn't want to get into any of the negotiations are going to be come up with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, all these guys. Doesn't feel like it does anybody any good to mention where they are or hopeful or anything like that. So he kind of steered clear of it. But the two things that I asked him that I was curious about is, can the Cowboys do what they want to do in free agency without extending Dak's contract? And he said, yes, or still ways they can get money from Dak's deal by restructuring it with the 2 voidable years that remain beyond 2024. So that can get them some money. And then because Dak has the no trade clause and the no trade clause, and what's the other one? They can't use the franchise tag on him, as he started to think about the possibility that this could be Dak's final year in Dallas. And he didn't want to go there at all and think about that. He's like, our only focus, right, is to make sure Dak is a Cowboy. So, we know they want to keep Dak and have him be their quarterback. It's hard to find them, as we know, quarterbacks across the NFL. But when you're talking to the prices that it's going to take, there's a lot of things that they have to go through to get there. It's not just a simple, okay, you want X? Okay, here's X. Let's give it to you. They have to think about everything else that plays into that decision that affects the entire roster.
Well, Todd, here's the question. With the contract that Dak got, and it took so long to get there, a couple of franchise tags, and then it was more expensive than perhaps it could have been had they done it a little bit earlier. You got to figure that's got to be in the back of their mind, number one. And number two, this contract that Dak has, he's got all the leverage, it seems. And you got to figure the Joneses don't want to do that again.
Right. Well, there's nothing that they can do about that, right? They can't take back the tag part of it or the no trade clause out of it. So they have to deal with this. This is the bed that they've made. The one thing I would push back on is when people say the Cowboys waited too long to sign Dak. They didn't wait too long. They tried to sign him. They made legitimate offers. They made the same offers that Wentz and Goff got in Philadelphia and with the Rams, 32, 33 million, 90 some odd million guaranteed. Right around there, and it never got done. And this is where people don't give Dak credit for waiting, and it's always blaming the Cowboys for not doing what they should have done. Dak waited. He played. He took the risk of an injury even in 2020, and he still got paid the $40 million a year, $65 million signing bonus, $160 million. So that's the one thing I'd push back on about what happened with the last negotiations. But I think with this one, look, they have to start asking themselves the question: if a guy is in year 8 or 9 and he's never taking you to an NFC title game or a Super Bowl, is he going to do it in years 9, 10, 11, and 12? You have to ask that question. And, I don't know how they would answer that, to be honest with you, because he's not done it. Doesn't mean he can't do it. But there's a lot of evidence of Dak in the playoffs struggling. And I don't know how you get over the top other than just finally getting over the top. And if you're going to make 50, 55, 60 million a year, whatever it is, it's harder to construct a roster around a quarterback when you have guys like CeeDee Lamb you got to pay, Micah Parsons you got to pay. So there are decisions, there's a trade-off that happens that they have to balance all those things out. And it's not as easy as people think, in my mind.
Well, and you have to be a genius, I think, to figure out the salary cap and how to get around all that stuff. And I will give Dak credit. So we visit with Todd Archer, who covers the Dallas Cowboys for ESPN, because, he's a smart guy. But when I look at what he wants to do here, if they end up extending him and giving him a new contract or whatever the case may be, I have to figure that Dak, in the back of his mind, is thinking, this is my last best chance to get a big haul of money. And I think he holds out again, or at least demands a bigger contract. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he's already made generational wealth, right? I think we can put that away with the $160 million that he's going to be making here. And now it turns into, well, I don't know what's beyond generational wealth. But he's made a lot of money in ads and endorsements and things like that too. And I'm not, he should go for whatever he thinks he's worth. That's the way it is in the NFL, right? And if he wants 50, 55, $60 million, hey man, that's all well and good. And if the Cowboys want to pay for you, that's the way the system and the market works, and that's how you should go about it. But he also has to understand the other side of it, is that you might not have everything you need around you if you're that way. And that's a little bit of a trade-off. And I wonder if Dak might say, do I need to be the highest paid quarterback in the league? If Dak would say this, right? Now his agent might want to say something different because the agent's thinking of the next contract for the next quarterback that guy has. So, that's where you're in a situation where this thing could take a while. It took 2 years to get the first deal done. I can't imagine that this deal will get done by March 13th to start the new league year. It could, I guess, theoretically, but I have a hard time thinking that it can happen. I don't even know what today's date is. The 27th?
27th, yeah.
So what do we got? So 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
I can't imagine that this thing's going to get done in 2 weeks.
Well, Todd, you bring up something interesting, because I have this conversation with Jason Minix, my partner, who's not here today, but and some listeners as well, and some other folks, that it's just, well, Dak's next. He's next, so he automatically is going to make more than Joe Burrow makes, and it's just a foregone conclusion. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's, like I said, that's the way it works, right? It's Herbert in the Chargers. I don't think he's won a playoff game. He might have gone to 1 or 2 playoffs so far. And at one point he became the highest paid guy, or darn near the highest paid guy. It's life of trying to find the hardest position in sports to play at quarterback. And there's only so many of them. And your value to a franchise is infinity. And that's the hard part. And, you have to weigh, from the team's perspective, you have to weigh, like, if we're going down this road for another 5 or 6 years, how do we contend? How do we do it? And it's one thing to pay, and Dak's 30, and we've known about the injuries that he's had, but he's just had his best season. All of these things to weigh into it makes it a hard answer. And look, if they sign Dak and they don't win a Super Bowl, what's everybody going to say? Why did they pay Dak? Never should have done it. If they don't pay Dak and he goes and wins a Super Bowl somewhere else, what are we all going to say? How can they not pay Dak?
Yes.
So you're never going to be right. You can only be wrong in this situation.
And that's a tough situation, Todd, to be honest with you. Todd Archer covers the Dallas Cowboys for ESPN, and Justin Jefferson's name has come up, and I bring this up for a reason, that the Minnesota Vikings seem to be kicking the tires on maybe trading this guy and making somebody else pay that contract. Do you think the Cowboys would make a tough decision like that and maybe think about a CeeDee Lamb and dangle him out there?
I no, because he is their offense in many respects, right? I mean, look at the season he had last year, the 135 catches, 1,700 yards, team records. Now take him off this offense. How good is Dak? How good is the running game? How good is the offensive line? Like, to me, he's a huge part of it. And I'll use history a little bit too. When you think of the Cowboys and guys that they've paid, right? They paid just recently. They paid Dez Bryant. They paid a big ticket to get Joey Galloway years ago. They paid Michael Irvin. They paid Terrell Owens. They paid Roy Williams when they traded for him in Detroit. They paid Miles Austin. So they paid receivers. And CD is right up there with the best of them in this franchise's history. So I think of the three guys that we've talked about with Dak and Mike and CD, I think that one can get done because you can look and see Tyreek Hill, $30 million. That's the top of the market. CD's X years younger than him. The numbers that he's put up, what you think he can put up going forward. And if you get that deal done now, you save money against the cap, so you might not have to do some of these things with Dak's contract. To me, I would say the Cowboys would be wise to get that one done first. And there's maybe an easier path to get that one done as opposed to Dak's contract. I don't see them dangling him at all.
Interesting. I'm surprised that Minnesota's doing that as well, but they're in a little bit different situation, I think. Perhaps, anyway. Stephen also talked about the culture today, was asked about the culture of this football team. And I've heard that a lot, that maybe the culture is not what it should be. And I think a lot of folks are going off of that Green Bay playoff game where Cowboys obviously didn't look very good. What do you make? He says there's nothing wrong with it. What do you make of the Cowboys culture at this point in time, Todd?
I mean, and I don't want to sound like a homer and act like I'm agreeing with him in that sense, but I'll say this. Culture and accountability. If we were playing a drinking game this offseason, we'd be buzzed every single day of the week with how many times people brought up those words. It's ridiculous. If the Cowboys had a bad culture, I don't know how they would have won 36 games the last 3 years. That's my answer to that one. If there was a bad culture, they would not have won 36 games. They would not have made the playoffs 3 straight years. What it comes down to in the playoffs and what they've not done in the playoffs the last 3 years is their best players playing their best in the biggest moments. The best player the Cowboys had in the Packers game might have been Jake Ferguson, and it was a month and a half ago, so maybe I'm forgetting somebody else. But it was Jake Ferguson, you would say, was probably the best Cowboy that day. Michael Gallup might have been number 2. That can't happen. Dak has to be one. Micah has to be one. CD has to be one. You know, all your stars have to be those guys, and they weren't against the Packers. I think it comes down more to that than it does to culture and accountability and all these buzzwords that have been created here in recent years. Because I'll go back to it again. If they had a poor culture, if they had no accountability, how are they 12-5 every year?
Interesting. And I know everybody looks at the playoffs or failures from Dak Prescott and the Cowboys over the years, and that's what they all point to, and not the regular season. So let me ask you this question then, because I'm of the opinion that the Cowboys' best shot at getting to NFC Championship or a Super Bowl was last year. They had a pretty good path. It seemed like everything was going the right way when the Eagles faltered the way that they did. Todd, I'm of the opinion that, you know, you sign Dak, you sign CD, you might even sign Micah at this point in time. There are a lot of holes to fill, that window is closed a little bit.
Yeah, no question. You know, and Dak's going to be a year older. You don't know what's happening in your offensive line. 2/5 of your offensive line, they're unrestricted free agents. You don't know if Tyron Smith or Tyler Biadasz will be back. You have decisions to make on free agency on the defensive side of the ball with Stephon Gilmore. You got to find linebackers. You got to find some defensive line help. They missed the window, and it's almost in a way the 07 Cowboys, right? If That, to me, that still remains the best team the Cowboys have had since I've covered them to not get to an NFC title or a Super Bowl. They had 13 Pro Bowlers. It was Wade Phillips' first year, and they lose in the divisional round at home against the Giants, who go on to win the Super Bowl. That was their biggest opportunity missed. This one, to me, is right up there with that one because of how everything else had played out for them during that season. With, like you said, Philadelphia falling apart, being the number 2 seed. You avoided San Francisco until a possible NFC title game. You were going to play two home games in the playoffs where you had won 16 straight. Everything was set up to you, and they just fell flat in their face. And yeah, everything about 2024 is always going to be viewed through the eyes of last season and how none of what they do in September, October, November, December, and early January is going to matter. It's going to be everything about the playoffs. In a way, I guess that was 23 was like as well.
Yeah, no question about it. Well, Todd, I know you enjoy covering the Cowboys because there's always something to talk about. We enjoy covering it well, and we enjoy talking to you. Best in the business. Todd Archer covers the Cowboys for ESPN. Appreciate you taking the time today.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Todd Archer, the great Todd Archer, was there ringside and asking questions of Stephen Jones at the Combine today. And, of course, Todd, courtesy of Buyers Barricade guest lines. All guests appear via the Buyers Barricade guest lines. Buyers Barricades provides traffic control rental and sales for San Antonio and beyond online at buyersbarricades.com. Well, he talked about what Stephen said. He talked about what he thought it all meant. We're going to hear from Stephen Jones, who has some interesting comments. And it's not what you might think. It's about players like Leighton Vander Esch and Mozzie Smith. What do you think they do with those guys, and how do they handle them? We'll hear from Stephen Jones as we continue here on the Blitz on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. First, though, I want to talk to you about the Big Blind. Yeah, it is the newest, best poker room in San Antonio. In fact, it is upscale like you would not believe. I've been to a lot of them here in town, and none of them compare to the Big Blind. They cater to players from all abilities. Whether you're good at poker or just starting out, doesn't matter. They've got a game for you. Daily cash games to daily, weekly, and monthly tournaments. In fact, right now, they've got a little something going on they're calling Afternoon Delight. 7 days a week this is going on, and it is from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock every day. You get $5 combos, burgers, chicken sandwiches, hot dogs, beer, drinks, wine, you name it. Everything is there. Plus, you can play some great poker. They've got a $1,000 tournament that's going on at 3:15 every day. You missed out on that today, but make plans to get in there tomorrow. But you can still get in there today and take advantage of the great specials. Look, the food is fantastic. It is from the owners of the Roo Pub and the Angry Elephant, so you know how great those places are. Well, the Big Blind is just the same. They've got a bar inside, TVs all around. It is just a great place to go. Best poker room in San Antonio by far. It is the Big Blind. You know where it is. It's right there by the Roo Pub, 281 and Redland Road.
It's the Morning Huddle with Rob and RJ.
Wednesday on the Morning Huddle, the San Antonio Spurs wrapped up the rodeo road trip. Did they get win number 2? We will obviously get into it. Plus, it's the week of the NFL Combine, and while what happens on the field may not be all too important, what is happening off of it is of critical importance. We start at 6 a.m. Get the coffee, get the donuts. We'll see you then on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Hop on over to Family Dollar for everything Easter this year. Find great buys on pre-filled Easter baskets or craft your own with a variety of plushes, candies, and toys. Only at Family Dollar, helping you do more.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Flight by Yuengling is the next generation of light beer. For those who don't follow trends, but craft them. Flight by Yuengling is 12 ounces of uncompromised refreshment from America's oldest brewery. With only 2.6 grams of carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Don't just raise a glass, raise the bar. Flight by Yuengling.
Available wherever beer is sold. DG Yingling & Son Incorporated, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Please enjoy responsibly.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Wait there.
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on Carol. She's more focused on hitting a high note than the car in front of her. Why pay a rate based on anyone else? Get one based on you with DriveWise from Allstate.
Not available in Alaska or California, subject to terms and conditions. Rates are determined by several factors, which vary by state. In some states, participation in DriveWise allows Allstate to use your driving data for purposes of rating. While in some states, your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Generally, safer drivers will save with DriveWise. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Over the past decade, the Roo Pub has proven to be the best place to watch games with those 3 massive 170-inch screens and TVs all around. All the games, all the UFC fights, and when you show up at the Roo Pub, show up hungry. The food is fantastic. Open daily at 11. Great for lunch, great for dinner, great for late at night, and certainly the best place to watch a game. The Roo Pub is next to the Angry Elephant and in the same plaza as the Big Blind there at 281 in Redland Road. We'll see you at the Roo. Injuries happen, and when they do, skip the ER and get to the Ortho Now Injury Clinic by TSAOG Orthopedics and Spine. Ortho Now provides walk-in care for injuries like broken bones, dislocations, sprains, and strains. Conveniently located in the Corey area with extended hours Monday through Saturday with on-site x-ray casting and bracing, Ortho Now has everything you need to treat your injury, and best of all, no urgent care or emergency room copay. Learn more online at TSAOG.com.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
Buyers Barricades is proud to provide traffic control, rental, and sales for work zones and events in the San Antonio area and beyond. Buyers Barricades, the Texas authority in barricade rental. Learn more online at buyersbarricades.com. That's buyersbarricades.com.
Listen to 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star on your Amazon or Google smart speaker and just say, Alexa, play 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Because this is San Antonio Sports Star 94.1. This is the Blitz. I'm Joe Reinagle. Jason Minnick's with the day off, but James Pledger is here pushing all the buttons, making the music happen. By the way, we've got tickets to give away. We're going to do that a little bit later to Hoser. That's coming to the Frost Bank Center September 24th. Special guest Allison Russell. If you don't win tickets today, you can always buy them at livenation.com. But do that. We're going to be giving them away here in a little bit. It hits you. I say, well, I feel like giving away tickets, but not quite yet. So hang in there and keep it tuned right here to 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. And while you're here, you can go to sasportstar.com and sign up for our spring spring golf classic at the Golf Club of Texas. It is March 25th at the Golf Club of Texas. It's presented by Flight by Yingling. I was told today, we got an update from our fabulous promotions guy, Nick Trey, and he says that there are only 11 teams left. So if you're thinking about getting in, you need to get in because it is going to sell out. It is just a matter of when that happens. $120 bucks for one player to join. Group of 4 can sign up together for $400. San Antonio Sports Star Spring Golf Classic at the Golf Club of Texas, presented by Flight by Yingling. It is March 25th. Go in and get registered so you don't miss out. It is a blast. Always is. And this year promises to be the best one yet. You want to be a part of it. That is for sure. All right, big day at the Combine in Indianapolis. Jerry Jones not there, but his son is, Stephen Jones. So he had a lot to say. Met with the media. Of course, all the Dallas media is there. We just heard from Todd Archer. Hopefully you got a chance to hear that. If you didn't, you can go to our audio vault at sasportstar.com, brought to you by AA Best Bail Bonds, and listen to that interview. Todd Archer is in the know, and he's a good dude. But we talked to Stephen, or the media did there, and asked him a bunch of questions. Obviously, there's a lot of questions. There always is when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. And there's always a lot of questions about the stuff that Jerry Jones has to say. And you might recall, I guess it was a couple of weeks after the Cowboys lost to the Green Bay Packers, Jerry made the comment about going all in this offseason. So the first question that Stephen was asked was, what in the world does Jerry mean by that?
I've never known Jerry not to be all in any given year, but,
Yeah, Jerry, I guess he's all in. And I guess it's your definition of what all in happens to be. But, he is all in every year. It just hadn't worked out in about the last 30 years or so. Mike McCarthy didn't get a contract extension this year, and he wasn't fired. But he's going into the last year of his contract, which to me is a huge mistake. I mean, it just is. It's not fair to Mike McCarthy. I don't think it's fair to anybody. But it is how the Cowboys seem to operate. They let guys finish out their contract, don't want to pay them off, and then you either float or you sink. And that's kind of the position that Mike McCarthy's in right now. And the reason why a lot of people thought he might be fired is because of the culture. Now, Todd Archer doesn't seem to think there's any culture problems there with the Dallas Cowboys because they've won 36 games over the last 3 years. It's that playoff culture that worries me because that playoff culture was on full display in that Green Bay game. Cowboys just showed up thinking that this was going to be a cakewalk. They were going to beat the Green Bay Packers, move on to the Detroit Lions, and all was just right in the world. So Stephen was asked today, do the Cowboys need a change in the culture?
I think from the organization on down, we feel good about our culture. You always want to be better. I will say that. I mean, your results aren't winning the Super Bowl. I think everybody said, how do you ultimately be the last guy standing?
Well, that's the big question, and that's a question the Cowboys have been asking for a long, long time. The reason people think the culture is a little bit off is because what some of the players do and say. Micah Parsons is a prime example. In his podcast a couple of weeks after the Cowboys were knocked out of the playoffs, it seemed like Micah was throwing everybody under the bus, the coaches, the Dan Quinn, his teammates, everybody but himself, because if I recall the quote, Micah said he did all he could. He did all he could. So I want you to listen to this soundbite and tell me if Stephen Jones is talking about Micah Parsons without mentioning Micah Parsons.
But I think overall, between organizationally, coach, our personnel department, I think our leadership on our team's outstanding. You're always going to have somebody who's going to say something. Might be, hey, that's their particular thought process on why we may have come up short. But personally, I don't think it's an issue.
Yeah, he didn't think it's an issue. But he said you're always going to have one person who says things, and that's his opinion. He was talking about Micah Parsons. He had to be. I mean, that was clearly for Micah because of the stuff that he said. And you got to figure, look, I don't know if there's anything that the Jones family can do about Micah Parsons and his podcast, because I'm sure he gets paid handsomely by Bleacher Report to do that podcast. But some of the things that the guy says, especially this last one that he did, throwing his teammates and his coaches and everybody else under the bus. I mean, that's you can't have that. And while you might admire the transparency of a Micah Parsons, we like the way Micah plays, But at some point in time, don't you have to take that stuff behind closed doors? If you've got an issue with Dan Quinn, for example, go tell him behind closed doors. If you got an issue with one of your teammates, pull them aside. Tell them. I'm that way. I'm pretty sure most of you are that way. If somebody's got a problem with me, I would appreciate it. They can say, you did something I didn't like. Let's talk about it. I'm cool with that. But just to call me out without talking to me first, that's a little irritating. And I would hope it'd be irritating to a lot of people. And Micah Parsons did that. Now, I can't vouch for the fact that he didn't already talk to his teammates. Maybe he did. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But to go on in your podcast and call out everybody but yourself, to me, that is just dead wrong. Then we got to the subject of Dak Prescott, who, look, is most likely going to get an extension, although it hasn't happened yet, and although it's going to be a lot of money. I mean, if everybody is right and they say Dak is next, and with the way that the salary cap went up this year, Dak is scheduled to make somewhere in the neighborhood of $60 to $62 million per. So you figure over 5 years, that's $300 million for a guy that's 31 years old, has a record of 2-5 in the playoffs. It's a lot of money for Dak Prescott. Look, and I'm not going to blame the Cowboys if they end up ultimately signing that extension and paying Dak that money, because if they were to let him walk, I would imagine there would be another team out there that would be willing to pony that up. Well, Steven said today that he can't imagine this team without Dak.
Our whole thing with Dak is him being a Cowboy. That's all that's on our mind, and certainly don't get into those type of thoughts.
Well, you should get into those type of thoughts because you didn't answer the question. Do you want to extend the guy or not?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
They want to extend it. See, there's a good thing about wanting to do something and getting it done. It's kind of like that old saying, you poop in one hand and what's the saying, Pledge? Which hand fills up first? Oh, poop in one hand and wish in the other. See which one fills up first. I don't know why I went there. Why did I go there, Pledge? Why did you let me go there?
I don't know. You spent too much time near a bad table.
Maybe so. Oh, my goodness. Sorry about that, y'all. They want to extend Dak. They want him to be the quarterback. Jerry and Steven, I believe, honestly, in their heart of hearts, believe that Dak Prescott is the guy that can still get him there. I don't know why they think that. I have no clue why. He's proven that he can't. Even with the team he had around him last year and the scenario that set up last year that was absolutely perfect. They had the road, the yellow brick road that led right to Las Vegas in the Super Bowl was right in front of them. Nobody standing in their way except the Wicked Witch of the Green Bay Packers. It was the only thing that was standing in their way. And the Packers got it done. The Cowboys went home early. They have no plan B. And Dak has got all the leverage. They're going to have to do something. You either extend the guy or you rework his contract, but Dak's going to have a say-so in all of those things, and he is really calling most of the shots when it comes to what they're going to do. The one thing that Steven did seem a little frustrated about, I know he knew he was going to be asked about Dak today, but he made it very clear to the media on hand today that he's not going to be doing this every day.
Hopefully we'll continue to make progress and communicate, but it's not going to be something, sorry to tell you guys, but we're not going to be giving reports on how things are going.
We're not going to get a daily Dak Prescott contract extension update. I'm sad about that. Although Jerry might have something else to say if and when he talks at the Combine. And I think he will do it at some point. It's just a question of when he might do that. Then there's some question marks. Again, going back to the culture and some of the players that are on the current roster, and can they get it done? Well, Steven said today that that's our job in the offseason, is to find those players that can get it done in the postseason.
We've got, I think, a great team put together the last 3 years, won a lot of football games, 36. Certainly where we have to improve is the postseason. Get the right kind of guys who step up and make big plays in the postseason. It's been a challenge in terms of our success there. And that's where we have to improve.
I just wonder. I would love to have been a fly on the wall after that Green Bay loss, or even a day after that. What do Steven and Jerry talk about? What is the conversation between those two? I think that would be fascinating. I really do, because I think it would be X-rated, number one. And you talk about throwing people under the bus. At least they don't do it publicly. But, they have got to be saying some bad things about most of their players. Interesting. I'd love to be a fly on the wall. Now, one of their players that made a big difference, and I don't think we put enough emphasis on it, was Leighton Vander Esch, the linebacker who got hurt, the captain of that defense. The defense kind of struggled when he got hurt. They never really could find a replacement for him. And it just didn't work out. It kind of went downhill from there. I want you to listen to Steven when he was asked about Leighton Vander Esch and an update on his injury.
We'll just let Leighton will speak to that. It's certainly an injury issue with him. That he's getting his hands around, and let him speak to that.
And that's so much different than the way Steven answered it about, say, Trayvon Diggs, DeMarvion Overshown. The standard answer with these guys typically is, well, they're rehabbing, they're looking good, looks like they're on track. Not well, he'll address that later. I take that, and I don't think it's good news for Leighton Vander Esch. And I think we all kind of expect that. The guy's injury prone, and I hope he could come back and play, but I hope if he does, it won't be that it could cause permanent damage. I mean, the guy's a young guy, he's got a family, and he needs to be there for them. He's made some money, and I think he'd be okay. But it doesn't sound like Leighton Vander Esch will be back. Trayvon Diggs, DeMarvion Overshown, looks like they're on track to be back. So that's good news for that defense for sure. I think Overshown was one of those guys I wanted to see play because he had some moments early on, and then he got hurt, and you really couldn't see whether he was going to reach that potential or not. But I think now with Mike Zimmer as the defensive coordinator, will that make a difference? And if the guy can stay healthy this year, will he make a difference and fill a role that the Cowboys need? The other guy that they're hoping can fill a void and a role, it's the reason they drafted him number one, is Mazi Smith. Look, Mazi Smith, I think by all intents and purposes, was a complete disappointment last year. Young guy, I know, learning the NBA, I know, but he was the Cowboys' number one draft pick. And when he was drafted, I think everybody to a man thought this was a great draft pick. That's exactly what the Cowboys needed because they couldn't stop the run the year before either. So we all thought, well, they addressed it. Well, Mazi didn't get it done. Will he improve in year two? Steven was asked that.
Well, we have nothing but confidence in Mazi. I mean, I think it was a transition for him that he was trying to get his hands around, the technique and the way he played in Michigan versus what, Dan was trying to incorporate in his game. So I think Mazi can take a big jump in terms of this second year with him. He's got all the right skill sets, got all the right intangibles to go out there and get the job done. And we believe he's going to make a big jump here in the second year.
I mean, honestly, what else is he going to say? We drafted the guy number one. We went back to Michigan, which we shouldn't have done, but they did. What else are you going to say? The guy, we believe he's going to be better this year. He has to be, right? Or we're going to have egg on our face if not. So we believe he's going to be a lot better. I wonder, and everybody tells me about the running back out of Michigan that would be a perfect fit in Dallas, and maybe he would, maybe he wouldn't. But do you remember names like Taco Charlton, Mazi Smith, the tight end they got over there, Schoonmaker from Michigan? When you look at the Cowboys draft this past offseason, I think it's safe to say, at least at this point, and the jury's still out on the first two, Schoonmaker and Mazi Smith, I think it was a dismal failure. And to keep in mind, the Cowboys don't have a fourth-round draft pick this year because they got a dude by the name of Trey Lance, that they traded away that fourth-round draft pick to the San Francisco 49ers to get Trey Lance in the fold. That's another guy that the jury is still out on, at least when it comes to the Cowboys. The 49ers knew their jury was in. Now, the Cowboys are going to take a chance and see what he can do. But if you extend Dak, you're not going to pay Trey Lance the $22.5 million for his fifth-year option. You're just not going to. So you got to figure that if you can't recoup that fourth-round draft pick, that's a waste. The Cowboys haven't done much, that's for sure. They've got a lot of work to do on that offensive line, linebacker, running back. My goodness, there is a lot of work to do. No question about it. Can Mike Zimmer get the job done, bring some change to that defense that Dan Quinn, well, quite frankly, lost there at the end? I mean, he did. That defense played horrible football for the most part down the stretch. And so Dan Quinn, the problem? Not sure. He's gone. Mike Zimmer's in. We'll see if that gets any better at all. Spurs play tonight. They wrap up the rodeo road trip, and they do it in a very difficult spot. Minnesota, the Timberwolves, who are out looking for revenge because the last time those two teams met, the Spurs hung on for a 1-point victory. Can they get it done tonight? If they are to get it done tonight, it's going to have to be a spectacular performance from Victor Wembanyama, who will win Rookie of the Year in the NBA. The question is, some folks hope that he might be considered for the Defensive Player of the Year. James Pledger. We'll talk about that when the Blitz continues right here on 94.1. San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 San Antonio Sports Stars Spring Golf Classic is set. Monday, March 25th at Golf Club of Texas. With plenty of prizes, including a shot at $50,000 in a trip to the big game. Go to sasportstar.com and get signed up. A 4-person scramble, $120 per player to join, or a group of 4 can sign up together for $400. It's the San Antonio Spring Golf Classic, benefiting the Will Smith Foundation. Monday, March 25th, presented by Flight by Yingling and 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
If you're having any issues at your house with your plumbing, your AC, your heater this time of year, maybe all three, you know there is only one company to call, and that is Quartermoon Plumbing, Heating, and AC, 210-651-5899. At Quartermoon, they are experts at worst-case scenarios. Big job, small job, residential or commercial. Their service trucks are fully stocked, and they have all the equipment needed for any job. No commission. Sales reps, they'll provide estimates and second opinions, and they have a great experienced staff that has earned an A-plus ranking with the Better Business Bureau. Quartermoon Plumbing, Heating, and AC. Call them 210-651-5899, 651-5899, or online at quartermoonplumbing.com.
When a cold comes on strong, try DayQuil's Severe Honey Flavor. The daytime, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, Honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a Honeylicious taste, so a cold won't slow you down. Get back to your day feeling relieved, enjoying the delicious flavor of DayQuil Severe Honey. DayQuil Severe Honey flavor soothes your symptoms with a delicious taste. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Get ready for the live tennis event of the year, the Netflix Slam, on March 3rd at 12:30 p.m. Pacific. Join 22-time Grand Slam champion and tennis legend Rafael Nadal as he takes on world number 2, Carlos Alcaraz, and witness a tennis showdown like never before. This live Netflix sports event promises unparalleled tennis action, so don't miss the thrill. Mark your calendars for March 3rd, 12:30 p.m. Pacific. It's Game, Set, Match on Netflix.
The LaTappe Texas cycling races are back in San Antonio, April 12th to the 14th. Cyclists of all ages, register now to ride in the 100, 60, or 25-mile Tour de France amateur cycling events. You can run, walk, cycle, and celebrate all things Fitness Fiesta at the Athletes Village and Expo. LaTappe, Texas. Register today at fiestafitfest.com. Presented in part by Thomas J. Henry.
Hormones can affect everything. Bad skin, bad hair, low energy, poor sleep, brain fogginess, libido, and weight gain. I'm Dr. Torres at the Institute for Functional Health, and we take a functional approach to your hormone problems. Eating right and exercise will not be beneficial without optimal hormone function. This goes for men and women. We do state-of-the-art testing to get to the root of your hormone issues and help you get well and stay well. I'm Dr. Torres at the Institute for Functional Health. We can help. 210-468-1891.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control?
You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Starting with one store in 1978, Boot Barn has become the largest Western and workwear retailer in the nation. Supporting those who feed, build, and protect America, we offer the largest selection of cowboy boots, work boots, Western wear, workwear, and outdoor gear. With over 500,000 pairs of boots and thousands of top-quality jeans and clothing, it's an honor to support the people who make our country so great. Boot Barn. Keep West.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% on your choice of any 3 or more A.O. Smith water heaters. Plus, save an extra 5% every day on eligible purchases when you use your Lowe's business credit card. Visit us for the materials you need. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. 5% offer subject to credit approval. Exclusions and terms apply. See store at lowes.com/credit for details. U.S. only.
This is 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star, KTFM Floresville.
Head of the field and throws it down with a right hand.
Your home for the NBA. San Antonio's Sports Center.
San Antonio Spurs back in action tonight. They look to snap a 4-game losing streak. They wrap up the rodeo road trip tonight, by the way, in Minnesota. They'll do that against the Timberwolves. Tip-off is set for 7 o'clock. College hoops tonight. Texas heads up to Lubbock to take on Texas Tech. Tip-off there set for 8 o'clock. It's a game that will be televised on ESPN tonight. Tony Pollard, not going to be franchise tagged.
Joe Reinagel.
That's the 3rd time in 7 seasons the San Antonio Spurs are the NBA champions.
Jason Minix.
They go back to big day as Super Bowl champions. Dallas 52, Buffalo 17.
It's the Blitz on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Oh, it is Tuesday. It is 5 o'clock. That means that some of you are getting off work right now. Congratulations to you. You made it through Tuesday. We can all look forward to a little hump day tomorrow. Get us headed right toward the weekend. You made it. Congratulations. Thanks for listening. Thanks for driving home with us. However you're listening, we really appreciate it. Or watching. If you're doing that on YouTube, thank you very much. You can always comment there. If you're by the socials and want to reach out on Twitter or X, you can do that at Joe Reinagel 210. And, of course, you can always call in and be a part of the program as well. 210-656-3776, 656-ESPN. So happy that you are on board this afternoon with us. James Pledger in there punching the buttons and making everything happen. Appreciate Pledge doing that. We're going to talk to Pledge in just a minute, but there were a couple of things that I saw that popped up during the break. Had a little notification that apparently Emmitt Smith has just opened a steakhouse in Las Vegas. Apparently there was a 2-year delay, but the steakhouse owned by Emmitt Smith in Las Vegas has opened up. So congratulations to Emmitt Smith. I hope that he's serving that good Herradura tequila in there. I'm sure he is. And that will be awesome. The other thing that popped up was, we've been talking about all day. You're hearing rumors floating around that the Minnesota Vikings are kicking the tires on trading Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is up for a big contract. He's going to probably be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. And he's going to get a lot of money. He's going to command a lot of money because he is right now, I think arguably you could say, is the best wide receiver in football. Well, the owner of the Minnesota Vikings came out today and said, forget about it. I'm sorry, not the owner, the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings. I could try to say his name. I think it's Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. Said that that's never crossed his mind once, trading Justin Jefferson. So, look, it may have crossed his mind a lot. He may have even fielded some offers, but he is saying that publicly. So we'll wait and see what happens with Justin Jefferson. And when it's time to sign that new contract and write that check, things could be a lot different. But that's Emmitt Smith opens his steakhouse. It's open. If you're ever in Vegas, you know that Emmitt Smith has a steakhouse. I don't know where that is in relation to all the stuff on the strip, but I would assume it's down there somewhere. So go check that out. And Justin Jefferson, it appears, at least at this point in time, is going to stay a Minnesota Viking. Victor Wembanyama is a San Antonio Spur, and of course, Spurs fans hope that he stays a San Antonio Spur for a very, very long time. He has improved tremendously. There is no question about that. The guy has improved tremendously. He seems to be feeling right at home in the NBA, playing on a really bad team with teammates that, well, are young, inexperienced in a lot of ways, and just, well, not helping him out too much. We can get into that later, and we will on Game Night San Antonio. But Wemby, everybody looks at his offensive prowess. But on the defensive side of things, he's doing quite well. In fact, leads the league in block shots by a long margin. And I know, Pledge and I got into this conversation yesterday. I mean, the dude's 7'4". I would hope he would lead the league in blocks. I really would. Because if you're going to come in the lane, it's going to be very difficult to take a shot over the guy. But we know he's going to win Rookie of the Year. In fact, I would be shocked. And I think there would be an uprising if he is not named NBA Rookie of the Year. He's much better than Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren, you say what you want about him. He was hurt last year. Probably shouldn't even be in the running for Rookie of the Year, but he is. But I think Wemby's going to beat him out. I don't think there's any question about it. But Pledge brought up something yesterday. Why couldn't he be considered or win Defensive Player of the Year in the NBA? And we got into this whole thing. I said, well, he's a rookie, first and foremost, and that's not going to happen. Just like he didn't make the All-Star team, most likely because he was a rookie. But he is behind Rudy Gobert, another Frenchman. Karl Anthony Towns is in there as well. They're tied technically in the various stat departments. But I just don't think he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year. And this is where Pledge and I disagree. And Pledge, you can chime in. I won't speak for Pledge, but in my state, it's not just because he's a rookie. If things stay the way they are and Rudy Gobert stays ahead of the game, Rudy Gobert is going to win that award. He's in first place right now. It's his to lose. Not because Wemby's a rookie, not because the NBA just doesn't do that with a rookie, but it's Rudy Gobert's award to lose.
It's his to lose because he leads one category.
Well, he leads the category. Let's face it, he leads the category in overall defensive rating.
By a couple of percentage points.
Right, exactly.
And he plays next to the next guy. And then Victor is tied with that guy that he plays next to. Second best defensive rating in the entire NBA.
Okay.
Without having all-stars or all NBA caliber defenders playing next to him.
Okay.
He's doing it on his own.
All right.
He leads the leagues in blocks. 171. Next closest person, 151. Rudy Gobert, only 113.
That's one category, and that is a terrific category.
He also leads him in steals on the year. Victor Wembanyama has 67.
That is more impressive to me than the blocks.
Rudy Gobert only has 33 steals. He's over doubled him up in that category. Victor Wembanyama, except defensive efficiency, to which he is only a couple of percentage points behind him.
3 to be exact.
Very minimal percentage points behind him. leads him in all other categories defensively across the league while playing with a worse roster defensively.
So when whoever picks this award is sitting down, do you think they're going to take all that in consideration?
No, they won't even look at him because he's a rookie, and that is my entire point. It was the same thing. We had this conversation with CJ Stroud that he shouldn't have even been in the conversation. He's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's irrelevant. He doesn't need any other award. That is an archaic, stupid way of thinking. To say that, oh, you're doing this as a rookie, they've got an award for you. You don't count as an NFL player to compete for these other awards. You're a rookie. You don't deserve to compete for these all-NBA awards. Why not? Especially if he's doing it better than everyone else.
Well, because you're a rookie, number one. And that's the first thing. There is an award for you as a rookie. So
there's no Defensive Rookie of the Year award.
There is a Rookie of the Year award. It's everything. That encompasses all. Everything. Offense, defense,
so
whatever.
What about the guys that win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year?
Well, they probably deserve it. Look,
but there's already an award. They got an MVP, Joe.
Yeah, but I mean, you're a rookie. It's like being a freshman.
That is the exact mentality I'm talking about.
It's like being a freshman, Pledge. Freshmen are just kind of like nerdy, right? I mean, they are. I was a nerd when I was a freshman in high school and college, and it just the way it is. Look,
it doesn't mean that you can't surpass that. Like, I understand that he is a rookie, but he is surpassing that of being a rookie and playing on the level of all NBA players.
His defensive stats are impressive, and he's played 4 or 5 less games than both Gobert and Towns.
Less minutes per
game, which is a travesty on its own, because that whole restricted minutes thing. If you're going to blame somebody, why don't you blame Greg Popovich or the staff there with the San Antonio Spurs for not letting the guy play when clearly he was healthy, because he was out on the floor doing things. So if he plays more minutes, maybe his stats are a little bit better.
I don't know if you've heard me or not this NBA season. I've been complaining a lot about that.
I mean, it was to me ridiculous. The whole thing. I get it for a week or two. Okay. This thing lasted like a month and a half. This whole minutes restriction thing.
The newspaper thought, you know what? This internet thing, it's not here to stay. What happened to the newspapers? Just because something's always been done a certain way doesn't mean it's right.
If I had a way to change it, I could change it, but I don't. So you're talking to the wrong person here. So I'm thinking that, and even though I agree with it, I'll be honest with you. I agree. Look, he's a rookie. He's going to win Rookie of the Year. Rudy Gobert at this point in time is your leader in the clubhouse. It's his award to lose. If Wemby goes on and shines and puts up massive stats, then so be it. And he beats him, and he comes in first place and doesn't win NBA Defensive Player of the Year, then I'm going to be right there on your side complaining about the whole thing. But as it stands right now, Rudy Gobert is your Defensive Player of the Year. That's the way it is. 20 some odd games left, 25 plus. So Wemby's got an opportunity to put up some stats. He's got an opportunity in front of those guys tonight to show him that he should win that award.
He already has the stats.
They're not quite as good as Rudy Gobert.
They're better, Joe.
Overall, they're not quite as good.
Overall, they are better.
Not according to the overall defensive rating. They're not. So that's what I'm going by. That's what the voters are going to go by. And that's why, if things stay the way they are, you're going to be a disappointed young man.
Well, I know I'm disappointed. I'm just voicing my frustration before it happens, because it is silly and stupid the way that these awards are doled out and officiated.
James Pledger, ladies and gentlemen, a frustrated James Pledger. How is Shireen Williams? Is she frustrated? I know she's heard the sound bites from one Stephen Jones. We're going to talk to Shireen Williams from Pro Football Talk when we continue here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 San Antonio Sports Stars Spring Golf Classic is set. Monday, March 25th at Golf Club of Texas. With plenty of prizes, including a shot at $50,000 in a trip to the big game. Go to sasportstar.com and get signed up. A 4-person scramble, $120 per player to join, or a group of 4 can sign up together for $400. It's the San Antonio Spring Golf Classic, benefiting the Will Smith Foundation. Monday, March 25th, presented by Flight by Yingling and 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
If you know me, you listen to this show enough, you know the Roof Hub at 281 in Redland Road is my go-to spot. They have proven over the last decade that they are the place to go watch any big game, any big event with those 3 massive 170-inch screens and TVs all around. And you know the food at the Roof Hub is fantastic, so show up hungry. They have the biggest and best wings in town, about 15 different burgers on the menu, great salads, great appetizers, and that kitchen is open late till 2 a.m. every day with the full menu available. So if you need a late night meal, don't go to a drive-thru. Get into the Roof Hub there at 281 in Redland Road. They have happy hour weekdays from 11 to 6. So it's great for lunch, great for dinner, great for late at night, and the best place to watch a game. The Roof Hub, just down from the big blind, right next to the Angry Elephant. 281 in Redland Road. We'll see you at the Roo.
This is Rob Thompson. I'm here with my brother, Jason Thompson, a lawyerforus.com.
I'm a lawyer for you. I've helped you.
Yes, he has, and many others here in San Antonio. And that's why I'm so glad I get a chance to talk to you today about what happens when you get into an accident.
It's overwhelming for everybody involved. You have this paralysis of what to do next, who to talk to, how do you get medical care, or you're in the hospital and who's going to pay for this? It's this swirl of anxiety, and many times it's even worse than the injury itself. You have to help people through that situation. And I tell every client the same thing. Don't worry. I've got this. I will take care of this. Just worry about your family. Just worry about getting healthy. If I can do that for you and maximize your recovery, you stay in business, you keep clients. And for 30 years, I've kept every client I've ever had. I don't lose clients. I represent their family and friends because that's how seriously I take my job.
A lawyerforus.com. You can find him at 210-900-0400. That's 210-900-0400. Jason Thompson, a lawyerforus.com.
Do you have failing or missing teeth? Hi, I'm Dr. Andrew Mueller, Chief Oral Surgeon at Doctor's Implants.
I had missing teeth, I had crowns, I had partials.
There was no way I was going to walk into my bathroom every morning to see my teeth in a container.
At Doctor's Implants, replacing your teeth with full mouth dental implants might be the long-term solution you're looking for.
The 6-Hour Smile is a permanent full mouth teeth replacement. Your new smile will be custom designed to fit your face and lifestyle and will look and function just like regular teeth. You won't need to remove them from your mouth overnight, and you won't need adhesive to keep them in place. Eat freely and smile confidently again. Research them at doctorsimplants.com. Receive a complimentary doctor's consultation and CT scan when you call 210-640-0000. Again, that's 210-640-0000.
Home of the 6-Hour Smile.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
If you're looking to get a new car, you could really cut expenses by bundling your car and renter's insurance with Progressive. Sure, you love your old car, but you know it's not normal to give instructions on how to open the window. It should be self-explanatory, but it's not. And notice how when you're in other people's cars, you can feel cushion in the seats? That's pretty nice, right? No, it's just normal. So bundle your renters and car insurance with Progressive and put the savings toward a new car. It's time. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states.
Oh, my goodness.
Buy into us.
It is a Friday. I almost said Friday afternoon. Is that wishful thinking or what? My goodness. It's Tuesday afternoon, which is good. Tuesday's one of those days that God has got to feel left out. You know, I mean, nobody complains about Tuesday, and it's really not any kind of, special day. Like Monday's Monday, and it's got a bad reputation, but it's like, it's Monday. We got to deal with that. But then there's Tuesday. It's kind of by itself.
I mean, Tuesday is kind of like freshmen. They're just dummies.
They're nerdy. They're not dummies. They're probably smart people too. But, freshmen have a reputation for just kind of being nerdy. And it's not by anybody's fault, but it's like, you just are. You're going into a new place, don't know anybody. The kids are older than you, and you kind of got to fit in. And so you're a little bit nerdy at sometimes. And that's just how freshmen are. And it's the same with rookies. Same thing. No matter how great they are, they're still rookies, and they should be treated as such. I find it fascinating, though. Pledge and I had a great conversation there about Victor Wembanyama and the Defensive Player of the Year award, and some folks chiming in on our YouTube page. And it's pretty cool because I have to agree that this would help. But Fred Works says, imagine if Wemby played 38 minutes a game. His stats would be off the charts. And yeah, he probably would be. The fact that he's averaging, about 28 minutes a game? I'm not sure that they would ever allow him to play 38 minutes a game, but 32, 33, yeah, it would be unbelievable. Joshua Jimenez says Pledger has a point, but Wemby still shouldn't win the award when teams don't even worry about playing the Spurs because they know they're going to give up 130 every night.
Look, I don't know if you've paid attention to the NBA in the last year or two. Everyone scores 130 a night. It's just the Spurs can't score more than that.
Yeah, the way the rules have changed in the NBA, Pledge, you're exactly right. It is designed for more offense, and that's the way it is. So that is absolutely accurate on your part. So it's not going to happen unless something weird happens. Now, we were told that Karl Anthony Towns is not going to play tonight for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and that Rudy Gobert is hobbling a bit on a sprained ankle. So does that make a difference? And can the Spurs go in there and surprise the Timberwolves because of it? And look, Wemby's got to – if I'm Victor Wembanyama and I'm hearing this talk and seeing the stats and knowing that who is ahead of me that I could go head-to-head tonight with, obviously Cat's not going to play, but I would go in a little motivated. Go in there and show them, yeah, I'm the man. And I'm going to show you guys that I am the man.
You know what I wish I really would have done?
What?
I wish I would have brought these numbers to you just blind, no names attached to them, to then see who you would have chosen. Kind of like a blind taste test.
I would have gone with Rudy Gobert.
You would not.
Come on.
There is no way on God's green earth you would have chosen Rudy Gobert in a blind stats comparison.
Rudy Gobert. He's the man. No, I don't know. That would have been an interesting experiment. But overall defensive rating, I think that plays a huge part. So we'll see what happens. Look, Wemby's not that far behind. Can he catch up is the question. And how much are the Spurs going to play him down the stretch? That's the other question. Because keep in mind, he's going back to France to play basketball this summer. So do the Spurs rest him down the stretch so, they don't wear him out, put him in bubble wrap, or do they continue to play him? In my opinion, I think the kid needs to play. He's 20 years old, for goodness sake. He needs to play. He needs all the NBA experience he can get. Then he goes through an offseason, another training camp, and he's ready to roll in year 2, hopefully with a better cast of characters than he has now. That's the only hope that can happen. But he is going to have a busy summer this summer. And so it's going to be interesting to see what the Spurs do and how they handle him down the stretch, because obviously they're not going anywhere. There is no playoff in sight. There's no play-in tournament in sight. The only thing the Spurs have to look forward to is, guess what, for the second year in a row? The lottery balls. And they may get another number 1 pick, which can't hurt. Certainly another chip to barter with.
Has there ever been a team with 5 number 1 picks on it? The starting 5, all number 1 picks?
Not that I know of. Are you thinking of a team?
No, I'm just wondering if that's what the Spurs are trying to do, be the first team ever in NBA history to field 5 number 1 picks all at the same time.
I hope that the Spurs will use some of that draft capital to go out and get some players. Now, everybody wants Trae Young, who, by the way, had surgery, right? He hurt his hand or his finger.
Yeah, finger.
Had surgery on his finger. So he's out for about 4 to 6 weeks, I think, while that heals up. But I think that's going to be a comment. There's too much, a little bit of fire when it comes to the deal with the Spurs coming in here. That would be fantastic. Obviously, it would be a point guard that I think the Spurs could use and a leader on this team to pair with Victor Wembanyama. So
everybody's so concerned when you bring up Trae Young's name about defense and defensive liabilities. I don't care. This team needs to score points. It doesn't. Offensively, it is stuck.
Pop said as much, too, that this team needs shooters. So you have to believe that he's going to go out and at least try to accomplish that. Get some shooters on this ball club that can score, because that is the modern day NBA. You've got to score points. You know, defense is great. If you can play it, great. But it's not the same as it was 10 years ago where, you know, you hold a team to 90 points, you were going to win scoring 95. It's not that way anymore. And I don't see a change coming. So that's the point, and that's the key. So going to be interesting to see who the Spurs get, because that quite frankly is what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the offseason. You know, the last 20 some odd games, yeah, we'll watch. We'll see what happens. Doesn't mean anything. I mean, even if they won all of them, well, I guess if they won all of them, they might have a chance for that play-in. I'm not sure what the records are. That I haven't even paid attention that much to them because, I mean, let's face it, the Spurs don't have a chance, and they're not going to win them all.
Well, the 9th seed is like 31 or 2 wins. So even if they win all of them, I'm not sure they can win enough.
Yeah, probably
sitting
not.
at 11 wins.
And if anybody wants to take that bet that the Spurs will have a 27-game win streak by the end of the season, let me know. I'll take it.
I got some money on that.
Yeah, I'll give you triple your odds, quadruple your odds, 10 times your odds. But you have to bet a certain amount. I'm not going to take $1. Not going to do that. Oh, very interesting.
You're only paying out 10.
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't even be worried about that $10. It would not be a concern at all. Hey, we are out a little early on this Tuesday afternoon. We got some college basketball. Indiana taking on Wisconsin. You need to start boning up on the college basketball teams and who's where and who's what. Before you know it, the conference championships and tournaments are going to begin. And then March Madness. And that's going to be a lot of fun. It always is. And I love that. It may be the best overall sporting event that there is in sports. Obviously, the Super Bowl is a Super Bowl, but it's a one-day event, right? It's a one-day event. You got the NBA playoffs. Yeah, a lot of fun. The finals are great. But I think overall, for the overall event, it is March Madness and the NCAA tournament, and just a lot of fun. And I always look forward to that. When we come back, we will get you ready. We'll give you the updates on the San Antonio Spurs and their matchup with the Minnesota Timberwolves here tonight. And we've got awesome, some decent comments coming up from a former NBA player who rips the cast that surrounds Victor Wembanyama. You don't want to miss that soundbite. But first, before we go away, we have some tickets to give away. We got a pair of tickets to go see Hozier. That is coming up pretty soon in September at the Frost Bank Center. Let me look here. September 24th at the Frost Bank Center. If you don't win tickets tonight, you can always buy them at livenation.com. It's Take Me to Church, right? Is that their biggest hit? Take Me to Church. So, yeah, Hozier. That's the tickets you're going for. Let's say caller number 7 tonight at 210-656-3776, 210-656-ESPN. Caller number 7, you get a pair of tickets to go see Hozier.
It's the Morning Huddle with Rob and RJ.
Wednesday on the Morning Huddle, the San Antonio Spurs wrapped up the rodeo road trip. Did they get win number 2? We will obviously get into it. Plus, it's the week of the NFL Combine, and while what happens on the field may not be all too important, what is happening off of it is of critical importance. We start at 6 a.m. Get the coffee, get the donuts. We'll see you then on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
At GiveMeTheVin.com, we pride ourselves in being America's best car buyer, bringing top dollar for your car with an online process that's fast and easy. But you might not know that we've got a special interest in buying diesels or just your favorite pickup truck. We specialize in putting the right money on your truck for longer than anybody. Go to GiveMeTheVin.com today and get your check on the spot from America's best car and truck buyer.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health San Antonio will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 210-615-7777. That's 210-615-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
This is Rob Thompson. I'm here with my brother, Jason, a practicing attorney in San Antonio for 30 years. Jason, what does that mean?
What it means is I've been representing people and families here in San Antonio injured in auto, truck, motorcycle collisions, serious injury, death accidents, taking those families and helping them through some of the worst times of their life. I've been practicing law in San Antonio for so long. I remember when the Cowboys were champions.
Seriously.
And a great staff that handles kind of the blocking and tackling of what it takes to represent clients. There are so many phone calls that need to be made, so many connections you have to have between insurance companies, physicians, opposing lawyers, relationships that you build over 30 years with adjusters, with insurance companies, with defense attorneys, with local judges. When I represent a client, they know that I'm lending my name, my reputation built on 30 years of experience to that client to get them justice.
It's Jason Thompson, alawyerforus.com. Call him at 210-900-0400, alawyerforus.com.
Get ready. This week, Staples has deals so good, you're going to want to sit down. Are you sitting? I'll wait. Great. Right now, during Staples Sit-a-thon, you can save up to $180 on select chairs. That's up to $180 off desk chairs, up to $180 off computer chairs, and up to $180 off gaming chairs. So hurry into Staples now for the Staples Sit-a-thon and grab a seat or two. Ends 3/2. In-store only. See associate for details.
Without the ones like you who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Rob Thompson. I'm here with my brother, Jason Thompson, alawyerforus.com.
I'm a lawyer for you. I've helped you.
Yes, he has, and many others here in San Antonio. And that's why I'm so glad I get a chance to talk to you today about what happens when you get into an accident.
It's overwhelming for everybody involved. You have this paralysis of what to do next, who to talk to, how do you get medical care, or you're in the hospital and who's going to pay for this. It's this swirl of anxiety, and many times it's even worse than the injury itself. You have to help people through that situation. And I tell every client the same thing. Don't worry. I've got this. I will take care of this. Just worry about your family. Just worry about getting healthy. If I can do that for you and maximize your recovery, you stay in business, you keep clients. And for 30 years, I've kept every client I've ever had. I don't lose clients. I represent their family and friends because that's how seriously I take my job.
alawyerforus.com. You can find him at 210-900-0400. That's 210-900-0400. Jason Thompson, alawyerforus.com.
Tonight at 5:45, it's college basketball, Wisconsin and Indiana, on your home for March Madness. 94.1, San Antonio's Sports Star.
Little college basketball to start off your Tuesday night tonight right here on 94.1. San Antonio Sports Star. Thanks for riding along with us this afternoon. I'm Joe Reinagel. Jason Minix off today. He'll be back in the saddle tomorrow, but always in the saddle on a Tuesday afternoon is the injury update, powered by the Sports Institute at TSAOG Orthopedics, online at TSAOG.com. And Dr. David Espinoza joins us tonight. Doc, how you doing on this Tuesday night?
Not too shabby. How about yourself?
Man, I can't complain. I don't even have anything I need some free advice about. So you're off the hook. Off the hook there. Doc, I don't know. Did you see, everybody's talking about what happened at Wake Forest with Duke and Wake Forest, and Kyle Filipowski was injured in that incident where the fans rushed the court. Doesn't appear that he's injured too badly, but did you see that? And were you concerned that could have been something serious?
I did, and honestly, I mean, with the amount of times that happens, I'm surprised that this hasn't happened more frequently, to be honest. I mean, they just kind of bull rush the court, and those players are kind of out in the open, and they're trying to get back to their bench, and so hopefully it's not too serious. But it looked like he kind of got stepped on, as he was again trying to make his way through the crowd. But that's. Look like you're running with the Bulls out in Spain or something, trying to get through that.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think you have a better chance running with the Bulls. You have a little more room, I think, out there. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. It looked worse than it turns out that it is, and that's good news, and I'm happy about that. Other big news, Doc, the Hawks' Trae Young, who every San Antonio Spurs fan is looking at trying to bring him here this offseason. He had finger surgery, out at least 4 weeks. When you're talking about your fingers, do they normally heal pretty quickly and pretty consistently for what you guys do?
Yeah, so kind of depending on the degree of the damage, and it looked like they went in to repair a ligament, and typically there's a couple ligaments on the side of the small finger joints, and there's pretty good blood supply to the hand in general, so. With that blood supply comes all the healing growth factors and everything that helps out. And so that time frame is pretty good, actually, for recovery from a surgical intervention like that.
Well, he's young, Doc. That makes a big difference, I think. So what you're telling us, in your professional medical opinion, when he's here in San Antonio next year, he's going to be just fine.
He'll be ready to go. Yeah, him teaming up with Wemby and maybe an extra draft pick. That'll be a good jump start.
That'll be awesome. Dr. David Espinoza with TSAOG Orthopedics joining us here on our injury update. The other interesting bit of pictures, I guess, or video that we saw yesterday was Kirk Cousins, Minnesota Vikings quarterback. He posted a video to social media of him dropping back, throwing just 4 months after surgery on that torn Achilles. Is that unusual these days?
So actually, that kind of goes back to Aaron Rodgers a little bit when he was recovering, and that video came out kind of towards the end of the football season. And so they are kind of getting them moving a little bit quicker than what they used to, which is great. Just so that way there's not too much scar tissue that develops through the tendon there. So hopefully he looks great, and so he should be on that timetable to get him back before camp and everything this coming summer.
Dr. Espinoza, if you were a doctor for a football team, because Kirk Cousins is going to be a free agent, and you wanted to bring him in to check out and see if he's doing okay, what are some of the things you would look for?
Yeah, you're going to run him through the gamut, I'd imagine, especially if you're going to give him a good contract there. But they're going to have him, do some sprints. They're going to have him drop back, obviously, roll out, so that way they kind of simulate, moving around the pocket as much as they can, and make sure that he's got some good explosion kind of coming off of that foot and heel. And so, and nowadays, just with all the analytics and the sports performance information and technology that's out there, they're able to really kind of see how much power and force he's able to kind of generate, which is pretty cool.
I think it is pretty cool. We'll wait and see and figure out where Kirk Cousins is going to play football this season. Dr. Espinoza, we appreciate the time and the insight.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Appreciate it very much. The injury update powered by the Sports Institute at TSAOG Orthopedics, online at TSAOG.com.
This is the AA Best Bail Bonds Game Night San Antonio on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Jackhammers it in.
Every game night, the Blitz with Jason and Joe get you inside and ready for tonight's game. Players, coaches, insiders. This is the AA Best Bail Bonds Game Night San Antonio.
Wemby for three, butter, and Wembanyama put him in the friend zone.
The pregame show starts now.
You know, the best part of that open, I love it, is Wembanyama jackhammers it home.
Wembanyama!
Our good buddy Kevin Harlan on the call. The guy's got the best voice in the business. There's no question about it. First, taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves out in Minnesota tonight, wrapping up the rodeo road trip. Spurs trying to get a second win on this trip. They're 1-7 on the trip. They beat Minnesota the last time they played him, but that was here in the Frost Bank Center. And so can they do it again? Now, it's not good news, but if you're a Spurs fan, it's encouraging news. Karl Anthony Towns will not play, we are told, tonight. He's got some sort of an injury, so he's going to sit out tonight. And Rudy Gobert is apparently a little bit hobbled. He's recovering from a sprained ankle. So the Timberwolves have got some injury issues. The Spurs can go in there maybe and pull out a surprise. We'll have to wait and see. But the one thing, look, everybody's going to have to play well. We've talked a lot about Victor Wembanyama and the improvement in this young man, and it has been off the chart. There's no question about it. The problem is his supporting cast. Devin Vassell, after the All-Star break, this young man is playing some basketball. That is for sure. Kendrick Perkins, who now works for ESPN, had some really serious and, quite frankly, rough things to say about Wemby's supporting cast.
Stephen A., Shannon, Molly, we could go play alongside Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs and still have the same record. I mean, damn. If you look at this kid Sohan and what he's been doing out there on the floor, it's been an embarrassment, to be honest with you. And you can see the frustration all over Victor Wembanyama's face.
An embarrassment. And he singles out Jeremy Sohan. Spurs fans, what do you think about that? Now, look, Sohan has not played all that great since the All-Star break. It's only been a short time. And quite frankly, I think if we're looking for a lot from Jeremy Sohan, I think you're just fooling yourself. I compare him, and I know it's unfair, and it's really young or really early to start comparing him, but it looks like a Bruce Bowen. I mean, honestly, that's the style of player that I see from a Jeremy Sohan. Good defensive player. He can get you some points every now and then, but it's not a guy that you're going to count on to lead you in scoring night in and night out. I compare Jeremy Sohan to a Bruce Bowen type. Now, Bruce Bowen's a great player, and I'm not saying Jeremy Sohan is anywhere near Bruce Bowen, but I'm saying the style of player that Jeremy is reminds me a lot of a Bruce Bowen. So if we're expecting a lot out of Jeremy Sohan, I think you're fooling yourself. I really, truly think that you're fooling yourself.
But prior to Wemby, he was their highest draft pick since Tim Duncan. The highest pick they had ever selected. Is it not fair to expect that out of him?
Well, you can expect it out of him, but again, I mean, he wasn't the number one guy at Baylor.
Then that's poor drafting, and that falls on Brian Wright.
And I think I think the Spurs have had some bad luck, if you will, or bad picks, or bad whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it hasn't been good. You look at Josh Primo. You know, that I will give them a little bit of a break. Maybe you didn't know that dude was going to be the dude that he turned out to be. But Luka Samanic, another guy that didn't pan out. You're looking at Keldon Johnson. I'm not sure that that's going to pan out. Devin Vassell, I think he will be a star, and I think a guy that the Spurs can rely on in the years going forward. But Jeremy Sohan, again, I'm not ready to throw the guy away or get rid of him necessarily, but I think if we expect too much from what we have seen, I think we're expecting a little bit too much, and that's the problem. So there you go. Get you ready. Minnesota, San Antonio. Tonight, Spurs have an opportunity. But coming up here on San Antonio Sports Star, the Blitz, Well, it won't be the Blitz, but it'll be college basketball. Indiana and Wisconsin. It's coming up. Thanks for listening, everybody. Good night.
The following is a presentation of Westwood One Sports.